tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with some more stories. Hopefully Donald Trump's having a day off, because every single Saturday he has taken over my shows. I tell you what, Sean, I would like a day off, please. But next, it is Ben Leo with The Late Show Live. Ben, what have you got coming up?
Alex, hello. Big show in store. I've just asked the White House whether the UK will be exempt from President Trump's 10% Greenland tariff, bearing in mind we only sent reportedly one solitary soldier to Greenland for that exercise. As soon as I get an answer, I'll tell you. But yeah, otherwise, it's all kicking off this side of the pond. President Trump being slammed for tariffs on the UK and those European nations. More of that and more, plus the latest from Minnesota in just a tick. See you in a second.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister condemns Donald Trump after he slaps a 10% tariff on Britain.
That move comes amid a broader White House crackdown on European countries that are resisting Washington's control over Greenland.
Well, Trump says it's a security necessity, but Sir Keir Starmer brands it completely wrong. Could it mark the beginning of a deeper rift between Britain and the States?
Much chance of being our next Prime Minister is Zach Polanski. It's not going to happen. The choice is Starmer, or goodness knows who else, or Nigel.
Well, the Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch, slams Robert Jenrick as a pastiche right-winger as she vows to end the Tory psychodrama after his shock defection.
And is a Labour civil war afoot? Allies of Wes Streeting have accused Number 10 of choreographing a briefing war against him again.
Ministers warn they're ready to quit amid plans to scrap jury trials. How many more could follow, and what does this say for the Prime Minister's control?
More family.
Your heart. Constable or Turner?
We're going
to be talking to Michael Portillo about that.
Yes.
A bit later on, a war between two very famous artists.
Yes. In the meantime, more families are leaving cities over rising crime, but is country life any better, or are kids getting a disservice from their parents? We'll debate it later.
And a space probe launched in 1977 will become the first ever man-made thing to reach a distance of 1 light day from our home planet. It's a staggering 16 billion miles away already.
Michael Carrick enjoyed an ideal start in his first game as Manchester United's interim manager. His side beat rival City 2-0 in the Manchester derby at Old Trafford. The win handed the Premier League title initiative to leaders Arsenal, who drew at Nottingham Forest. We'll have reaction throughout the morning.
Hello there, good morning. Quite a foggy start to the day. Some of this fog could be slow to clear in places. Stay tuned to find out where we'll see the best of the brightness.
Just gone 6 o'clock, I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
You were just fingering a paper there, Anne. I thought you had a...
Well, I just thought you'd be interested in this one.
All right, go on.
It's about extraterrestrials.
Oh, yes, I am.
95% of people think they do exist. Aliens have visited our planet. E.T. is alive and well.
Oh,
it's just that they are scared to admit it.
Yeah.
So they really do believe it.
Yeah, I think they probably have.
You think... Probably. I mean, I believe there's alien life somewhere out there, because there has to be statistically. But visiting our planet...
I think probably, yeah. To be fair. I think there's a lot of stuff that... I mean, look at our technological advancement over the past 50 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's almost... If you go back 50 years, it's almost like we're living in the dark ages to what's happening now. And there's a lot of people think of these sort of retro, done a load of alien technology that landed in the sort of 40s and 50s.
Yeah, but that was just because a lot of sci-fi movies were being made and everybody was really obsessed with the idea.
It used to be suggested that X-Files was preparing everybody for alien life in future, a change in... I'm not really sure. I mean, if you listen to radio phone-in shows after about 1 in the morning, which I tend to do now and again, you get lots of people who phone in believe in extraterrestrial, that's for sure.
Well, they're trying to phone home.
But I'll tell you what, it's the one thing, and look, I know you can laugh about it, but I do think when you get these, and you see some videos, but it's when you get sort of NASA people, and then you get, RAF people and Air Force people from the States, with some of these videos of stuff saying that just isn't, they cannot explain what they've seen out there, and stuff move. And it's when you see it moving, go from a dead stop to a very fast and the changing direction with no... It's technology we don't possess.
If they were clever enough to get here, and, they would be making themselves known in some way.
Why would they?
Well, why wouldn't they?
Might be spying.
I mean,
what are they doing? Just sort of spying on us? We can't be very interesting from that far away.
But to the authorities, I say the authorities know.
Oh,
that's the point. The authorities know. It's just
you just love a conspiracy.
Is it Area 59?
51.
51, that's it, yeah. What's Area 59?
I don't know.
No, I don't think there was
that
one.
one's top secret. I've never heard of it.
That's the one.
I don't know. I think there's a lot goes on that we don't know about.
But it's amazing how many people do believe in them, but there is a shame to believing in them.
Yeah.
They won't share it with
You know
people.
you're going to get laughed at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we should ask Donald Trump. He'd be able to tell us.
Well, I tell you what, if any aliens were watching us at the moment, they'd wonder what on earth is going on in the world.
Yeah, President Trump has said he's going to hit the UK, Denmark and other European countries with a 10% tariff on all goods exported to the US in coming weeks.
In a Truth Social post, President Trump said the tariffs will stay in place until a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland.
He went on to say failure to reach a deal could see tariffs rise to 25% by June.
Now, of course, in response, our Prime Minister has condemned the move, calling it completely wrong, and vowed to challenge the US directly over those tariffs.
Let's talk to the Defence Editor of the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Robert, good morning to you. I saw someone describe this as economic warfare. What do you think?
Well, it's something that really comes down to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is obsessed about Greenland, and for not very clear reasons. The reasons he has given have been shot down. It can't be for economic reasons, because while it is rich in minerals, the minerals and reserves are very, very remote. There have been companies, including some Chinese interests there, and they've got very, very little distance in turning this into a reality. And it certainly wouldn't be turned into a reality in Donald Trump's lifetime. Now we have the strategic issue. One, as he said, it is swarming with Russian and Chinese ships, destroyers, submarines. Not true. That's been comprehensively shown to be so. But it's needed for the Golden Dome anti-missile shield. Well, that's not even particularly clear as a priority. Trump has been obsessed with this since his first presidency. Mind you, he isn't the only American president, but even Barack Obama considered this, making an offer for Greenland. But what is so interesting is how belligerently Trump is prepared to go up against his allies. And that's the really serious bit. It is really worrying. And there is a real fear that we are at a turning point with this.
But that's his style, isn't it? It's a lot of very, very loud bluster at first, and then he sort of pulls back, I suppose, in the hope that he's frightened people enough to negotiate.
Well, he is trying to negotiate. He's trying to negotiate for a purchase. Mette Frederiksen, the extremely tough Prime Minister of Denmark, is having nothing of it, because neither do the 57,000 residents of Greenland, the largest island on the planet, nor does the electorate of Denmark, which has a protectorate regime there, want this. So how is he going to do it? It really, though, has put an arrow, not a stake in the heart yet, of the whole NATO concept. And the thing that is worrying is that the latest iterations, particularly the national security strategy, largely concocted by J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller, the chief of staff, and talking about the fragility of security in the world and America's position in it, the articulated enemy almost was the main allies in Europe, rather than Russia, China, and whatever else may be coming up. So we're in a thoroughly confused and confusing position. It's interesting that Starmer hasn't this time made steps to mollify Trump.
Yeah, that is interesting. Is that anything to do with what's going on with Canada, do we think? Well, obviously, Canada got hit very badly by tariffs. There was a great war of words between the two countries, and yet it seems to have
Canada is not suffering.
It's not suffering. It's doing slightly better.
Because of the tariff, yes, it's actually increased its trade with the rest of the world by 14%. So it has mitigated what it has lost going to the United States. It's very peculiar indeed. I think, by the way, I am talking to you from a hotel lobby in Venice, where we've been having a conference with diplomats and with the industry leaders. And by the way, this has come up, and here's news for Trump. the big bluster, which has been in a lot of the Trump manifesto in this second presidency, that the Europeans have got to step up. They've got to be able to prepare to spend between 3 and 5% of GDP on defense. I don't think it's going to happen now. And I think that's a really big split. We know that Rachel Reeves doesn't want to fulfill the promises in the Strategic Defence Review. Italy and Spain are not going to spend that. And so we're chipping away at the 32-member alliance. And they are actually shrugging their shoulders at the big leader, as Mark Rutte, the Secretary General, called him, the big daddy. And they're saying, no, 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 we're going to look after our own interests. It is actually by even this gesture, in the last 36 hours, Donald Trump has made the world, particularly the Western world, a much more fragile and unsafe place.
OK, Robert, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's not a very happy note to end on. And everybody, some people are pointing out a hypocrisy in Keir Starmer, saying that he's disapproving, very disapproving, obviously, of President Trump's idea that you can just take over another country, where he has, without a vote of any kind at all, he's just given away the Chagos Islands. No, not given away, sorry, he's paid to give away.
Yes.
Without any democratic vote from anyone who calls themselves a Chagosian.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point. It's a valid point. Anyway, should we see what the broadcaster Chris O'Fufas makes of it all? Good morning. I mean, there's a lot to get through on this politics and other. But what do we make of the domestic side of this and the way that, as Robert Fox was saying, the Prime Minister is standing his ground on this one against the White House?
I think that this raises so many questions. There are so many questions that this raises. And you're quite right, on the domestic front, what do we do? Do we... Donald Trump either responds to complete flattery and sort of ego-stroking or strength. Those are the two strategies that you could have with Donald Trump. And I think that our relationship, I think Keir Starmer is one of, if not the worst Prime Minister we've ever had. However, he does seem to have quite a good relationship with Donald Trump. Now, he has said, you're quite right, he's condemned it, saying that these tariffs are completely wrong. And let's make no bones about it, this would not be good for the United Kingdom. Tariffs are not a good thing. It's just, what does Keir Starmer do from here? And I think also, crucially, we have the King is due to visit the United States. So what role will that take? I think this is one of those occasions where actually it's brilliant. You know, anyone who complains about us having a monarchy, this is a brilliant occasion for us to have a monarchy. Now, Donald Trump wants to do a deal. That is what Donald Trump is all about. I think that there is a little bit of hysteria around all of this. I think you raised a really valid point there, Anne, about that this is his style. He throws out a crazy warning shot, and then actually he kind of climbs down subtly a little bit in order to get the deal across the line. He has worked as a property magnate, you know, until now. Obviously, that's how he made his money. And that's clearly his strategy. You know, you lowball, and then whatever else you get on top seems quite good. And I think that this is his strategy here. And I think that we all need to remember that that's something that he does. What will Starmer do next? That is the big question. Will Starmer choose to stand up to him and stand his ground, as you said, or try and negotiate, do a deal? But when you look at what happened with Chagos, when you look at the weakness that he showed over Chagos, when you look at him handing over these islands and having to pay money, I don't have faith that Starmer is the right man to do this.
And is there a danger with his coalition of the willing and everything that at some point, if he decides to stand up, we're strong enough together to stand up to President Trump, he could turn around and find no one behind him? Because do we trust the other members of that coalition of the willing to actually stand by Britain?
And what else? And actually, what can they all do? Whether they stood with him or not. What are people going to do? Are they going to declare war on America? Are we going to say, right, well, that's it, we're turning our back on America? No, that's not going to happen. This has exposed the delicacy and the weakness of Europe, of NATO, of all of those places. And I just want to take issue. I thought that when he's talking about China and Russia, and many experts have said, look, there isn't this threat from China and Russia around Greenland. Well, does Donald Trump know something that we don't? That's my only question around that. I don't know, but I am confused as to why he's doing it. There is unbelievable mineral wealth in Greenland, but it's really difficult
It's very
to get.
difficult to mine, isn't it?
It's difficult to get to. But then also, as the ice caps are melting, it is becoming slightly easier to get to it. So is he thinking long-term? Is this blackmail? And what does this mean for what Europe can do next? I don't think Europe have got the strength, either individually or as a group, to stand up to him.
All right. Can we move away from that for a moment?
Do we have to? Because I think it's fascinating.
Well, it is fascinating. But what else is fascinating is what's happening within political parties here in the UK. We've got more infighting in the government now, particularly over Wes Streeting. We've got, obviously, the whole generic business and what's happening between Tories and Reform. I mean, the whole thing looks like quite a mess, really, depending on what side of the fence you sit on.
It's worrying from the point of view that is the vote on the right going to get so fractured between the Conservatives and Reform that we could end up with another Labour government, heaven forbid, or a Labour-Green coalition.
They can't let that happen.
Well, but then look at the 80s. Look at the SDP and Labour and look at how Thatcher romped home 3 times, partly, I mean, she was a phenomenal Prime Minister, but partly as well because of the weakness of a fractured left. Could the same happen here? It's a really interesting time because I was really scathing about Robert Jenrick on Friday when I was talking about this, because I worry about Reform's selling point being that they are the alternative. We are not like all those people in Westminster. Yet Jenrick was the person who brought in the hotels, the asylum hotels. He was part of a government that is a part of the problems that they have tried to distance themselves from, Reform this is, from the last 14 years.
But he did also quit on principle as immigration minister.
So are we saying, or is one saying, that, OK, if you're not Prime Minister, then basically you do get a bit more of a pass as to what your government does? Because if that's the case, then why is that courtesy not being paid to Kemi? Because Kemi also was just a member of the government rather than the leader of the party.
But she is getting that, isn't she?
Well, she says, look, I'm sorry, I wasn't... I think there's hypocrisy from her as well, by the way, because she's also said, she wrote in her op-ed with The Telegraph, well, look, there were loads of problems with the Conservatives, I'm sort of paraphrasing her, but sorry, I wasn't Prime Minister then. Well, look, are we either giving people a free pass because they're not Prime Minister, or are we holding them to account? And I think both sides, there is some hypocrisy.
And what do you make of the revelations that have come out more or less overnight, front page of the Daily Mail today, the Mail on Sunday, that apart from Jenrick apparently leaving his speech lying around so that it could be leaked to Kemi Badenoch, not just that, there are more things, documents in there, that suggest that he was going to sell himself, presumably to us and Reform UK, as the, quotes, new sheriff in town.
I really want to be a fly on the wall when Nigel Farage were to read that, because Nigel Farage is like a massive part of why people like Reform, and I don't think he'd like that. Can Nigel Farage balance the benefit of members of a former government that have that experience, but also the ego that goes along with that? Can he balance that with his own ambitions and not liking those people around him? So it's a really interesting time. And as time goes on, I heard on Alex Armstrong's show a really good point being made about, we are still a couple of years away from an election at least. Will Jenrick and Zahawi and all of those people be so embedded in Reform in a couple or 3 years' time that actually we'll have all forgotten that they were Conservatives before, and actually now is the time that Reform are getting their house in order on all of this?
Well, I sort of think you will in a way, because, I mean, look at Lee Anderson.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't think of Lee Anderson as anything... We don't think of him as a former Conservative and former Labour MP, do we?
And I was outraged about this on Friday, but, 2 days later, I'm like, well, OK, yeah, I can see why Jenrick's doing it. That's only been 48 hours, so in 3 years...
As long as he he behaves himself. As long as he doesn't threaten Farage or get up Farage's nose. And today's headline on the front page of the Mail on Sunday, I'm the new sheriff in town. And it's clearly a briefing document that he approved, more or less, because his his handwriting is on the side making notes.
Yeah, it was like a media plan document,
Yeah, it was
wasn't
a media plan, yes, it clearly was. I'm the new sheriff in town isn't a very good way to go into a new party with Nigel Farage as
With
leader.
the Nigel Farage as a leader, exactly. Will those egos be able to be put aside for the good of the country? And also, you know, again, I'll just make the point again, will the right, if you are a Conservative or a Reform voter, you know, are we in dangerous ground? And actually, are those parties handing Labour and Greens and the Liberal Democrats a potential win in 3 years' time? I think that remains to be seen. It's exciting times.
Oh, it's remarkable. It's better than Panto, all of this, isn't it?
Yeah, and probably a bit less camp. Or maybe more camp.
Except that it affects our lives. Who gets in the next election is almost more important than who got in the last one.
I think most people are just more concerned about who we get rid of in the next election.
Well, yes. Yes.
Which I think is a lot more important, perhaps.
Yeah. All right, keep your thoughts coming through on that one. In the meantime, at 6:20, let's have a look at the weather with Anna.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Quite a grey and murky start to the day, some fog rather slow to clear in places, and quite a cloudy Sunday on offer, some spells of rain, though we are likely to see a little bit of brightness later. Spells of rain across southwest England, southern parts of Wales. This will slowly shift its way northwards, pushing into central and northern parts of England through today. Perhaps a little bit brighter across the far north of Scotland, Northern Ireland, also parts of Sussex and Kent and East Anglia, maybe even some sunshine later on, but for most it's going to be quite a cloudy and dull day, feeling quite chilly under the cloud too, but highs reaching around 11 degrees Celsius in the southeast. Now, to finish off the day, remaining fairly similar, there's still going to be quite a lot of cloud around, some low cloud, perhaps even some fog, also some spells of rain still across parts of Scotland, though a little clearer across the far north. That's where temperatures are going to be dipping away, so once again, another frost and possible icy stretches here. A few more clearer skies across Northern Ireland, but a very different story elsewhere across England and Wales. Still very cloudy with some spells of rain, and it's likely we'll see a return of some foggy conditions through the overnight period. Also some spells of rain still across England and Wales. This will fizzle away through the overnight period, and then another band of rain starting to push into Northern Ireland through the early hours of Monday. Now we'll see a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, and where we see those clear skies persist, that's where it's going to be turning chilly, dipping below freezing across parts of Scotland, so widespread frost here, but for many towns and cities remaining around the mid-single figures. Now, for the start of the new working week, once again, a very cloudy and grey picture. Some fog slow to clear through the course of the morning. Some slight drizzly outbreaks across England and Wales, with the most persistent rain across parts of Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland. A little bit breezy here at times too. Temperatures still rather mild across the south, highs reaching around 9 to 10 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Just got to mention Mandy Jean, who's been in touch, and we don't get to see every single message because there's so many of them, but she's included the magic phrase, which is, read this one out, Stephen, I dare you.
That's how to get yourself mentioned.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, fine, because you know, all views are welcome. Donald Trump, she says, is the best president of all time, and I support the man 100%. Whatever his aims are for the West, I'm sure it will be for our benefit.
Yeah, and what about Del says, I'm with you, Stephen. Aliens have been here for a long time. Those pyramids, you know, weren't built by themselves or us. And for Anne, they don't want to be known because this planet is a mess with a very aggressive human race. Do you think they're scared of us?
Well, possibly.
Yeah. Next, we are going to discuss possibly the most famous photograph of all time. And unless your television is very big, you'll hardly see it. But in the middle of that photograph is a tiny, tiny, tiny 1 pixel-sized pale blue dot. And that's us, taken from the very, very edge of the solar system by Voyager. We'll be discussing that next.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Brave.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight
On the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
It's 6:27 now. Voyager 1, launched back in 1977, is about to hit a remarkable milestone.
Yes, in November this year, the probe will become the first ever man-made object to reach 1 light day from Earth. That's a staggering 16 billion miles away. That's how long it takes light to get from Voyager to us.
It's incredible, isn't it? Let's talk to space expert, our favourite spaceman, Andy Lound. Andy, good morning to you. It's lovely to see you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
I tell you what this does, is it puts so much in context. When you consider this craft has been going for nearly 49 years and it's travelling at 38,000 miles an hour, and even now it's a long way, but it's still only 1 light day away. It blows your mind.
Yeah, it puts everything into perspective a little bit, really. 2 spacecraft launched in 77, of course, Voyagers 1 and 2. Voyager 1 flying past Jupiter and then Saturn before taking an angle shot away from the solar system, heading outwards. And Voyager 2 went on to do Uranus and Neptune as well. But Voyager 1 in 1990 had an interesting opportunity, which was the idea of the brilliant late Carl Sagan, who said it was a great opportunity for a space probe to turn back and take a last picture of the Earth. Scientifically, not of great importance because it can't make any resolution out. But from the perspective of humanity, it would be a very important picture. And when the picture was taken, and there it is, there's the pale blue dot, in a sunlight glinting as well, dust glinting from the sun's light as well. So we're actually caught in a dust area, which is quite amazing. And it's the thing that Carl Sagan tried to point out to us. Look at that little dot. It's less than a pixel across. It's not very much at all. Everything that there's ever been on this planet, the billions of lives, every ruler, every person you ever loved, everything is in that dot. That's it. It's quite an amazing image to put life in perspective of where we are, who we are, and where we fit in the universe itself. And considering what's going on down here, I think it's quite an important image to ground ourselves a little bit.
I remember when they were talking about launching it, and they were going to put a gold, amongst many other things, they put a gold disc, didn't they, on one of the Voyagers? Have you got it?
On both of them. They put a gold disc which contains a great deal of information, audio recordings, pictures, and what's remarkable about this, of course, it is a record. This, what you're seeing at the top here is the cover, but if we took the cover off, there's a record underneath it, and there's instructions on it, which is a stylus of how to play a record. And from that, you'll get the data out. Very low tech by modern standards, but it's interesting to think that this gold-covered record was sent into space, which I always think it's an amazing thing, because the 2 spacecraft which have got these discs on, they're not going to come close to another star, and that's even going to be a light 1.5 light years away from the stars, the different stars they get to. And that's going to be in 40,000 years' time. And of course, in 40,000 years' time, there may be no human race down here. And therefore, the 2 Voyager spacecraft may carry the last remnants of what was the human species on this planet. Admittedly, there's material, for instance, on Pioneers, but they only have plaques, and the New Horizons does have some encoded data on a small disk. But the Voyagers are the ones which are going beyond first. And so it'll be interesting to think that they carry the only reminder of humanity, which I find quite remarkable. And that actually makes me focus more down here on Earth to think, I don't want that to be the last reminder of humanity. It's up to us to push forward to create a future when perhaps if we ever exceed the speed of light, we could go and fetch them back.
Yeah, that would be quite nice. Just because we're down to 30 seconds, I just want to ask you, as we talk about the future, Artemis 2 has made it to the launch pad, hasn't it? I know it's going to be several weeks before it takes off, but I mean, that's us pushing back towards the moon.
Yeah, exciting. It's back. It feels like 1968 again, when I was a very, very little boy waiting for Apollo 8 to launch at Christmas 1968. This is so, so exciting. It's amazing how chaotic we can be down in here on Earth, and yet at the same time we can still reach for the stars. It's quite bizarre, the duality of man.
Yeah.
And if anything, that's an argument that we've got to keep it going, haven't we? We've got to keep reaching out there, because you never know. And the other thing that was so amazing, sorry, but we could talk about this forever because we love this, is that the power, I gather, I read somewhere that the power on the Voyagers, either of the Voyagers, is no more than we would have in a key fob for our car.
That's correct, yes. You couldn't even light a torch bulb with it at the moment once we received the signal. Incredible. And we use the arrays, the different radio telescopes around the world linked together in order to even get anything out of a signal from it at the moment.
Wow. Astonishing. It just blows your mind, doesn't it? And as always, it's really good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh.
I know.
It's almost sad, him saying that that record, if it's ever picked up by anything or anyone, with all those instructions on how to play it, they'll hear all sorts of things like the sound of babies crying, the sound of the jungle, all sorts of amazing sounds, including as well a lot of music of all sorts and human voices. But we could well be, our whole race could well be completely over.
Well, it could be millions of years before everybody finds it.
But it's good that it's out there, isn't it?
Interesting.
It's
scary.
I haven't picked up anything from anyone else. Anyway.
Right.
Time for our giveaway.
Back to reality with the bang, because it's £85,000 could be yours. Here's how you enter.
There's only 2 weeks left to ensure you're in the draw to win our biggest cash prize so far. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane from Manchester. I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. It is real and it does happen to everyday people like myself. And that one text has just made my life 100% better.
But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do stay with us, because the sport is coming up, and apparently Tottenham boss Thomas Frank was booed off the field by his own fans. More on that in a couple of moments.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I think
it's really a shocking statistic to hear, but it's one that we've heard a lot of in recent years, that suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 50. Do you think the government are doing enough to try and reduce that number?
Well, I mean, look, it's a very difficult, very touchy subject. I've lost friends to suicide, so many of us, you know, and it's devastating. It ruins families, ruins lives, and it's so sad that maybe that person did commit suicide, could be here, if there was some bit of support, someone looking out for them. So, look, I'm not pointing the blame at anyone because life's hard, yeah, and it's only going to get tougher this year. So, if anyone watching this wants to set up a little group on a Sunday, go and do it, you know. Look after your friends, look after your community. We're all there for one another. Let's all be there next year and the year after and the year after that. That's what it's all about.
And if people want to join in next week, how do they get involved?
Get yourself down to Thatcher's Arms in Brent within Essex. Be here for 8 a.m. We're going to have for a lovely stroll to the countryside. Bring your dogs, bring your mates, whoever. Come down here. We'll shake your hands. You're all welcome. Be a lovely day.
I actually think it's a really, really brilliant idea, I have to admit. Well, a GB News reporter, Bethany, who's normally in the studio with me, but I'm sending her out to a pub, also spoke to a few other people who were at the event to see what they thought. Let's have a listen.
Things like today are really, really important. You know, a group of blokes from all walks of life having various different issues that often go unspoken, whether it's, you know, addiction or marital issues or loneliness, social isolation, anxiety, depression, all those sorts of things. You know, it's nice to be able to come down here, have a chat with a bunch of blokes about the various issues going on in their lives.
I think it's really important for men. Hearing some of the stories today, you think you're alone all week and different things, and hearing some stories and talking to others today that you're not, you have to have a chill out from work.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Time for the sport with Aidan at 6:38. Should we talk about the Manchester derby?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, look, I wasn't expecting that result yesterday. I didn't think that, given all the build-up to it and all the calamity around Man United, they had an interim coach last week, then an interim to replace the interim, and there's going to be a permanent one next summer. I mean, someone described Man United to me last week as the world's biggest pub side. Now, they put paid to all that yesterday. They swatted that aside because they were absolutely imperious against Manchester City. Don't forget, have signed two key players in the transfer window. They signed Semenyo from Bournemouth. They signed Mike Gurhey from Crystal Palace, creating all the problems there. They're very much in the ascendancy, chasing down leaders Arsenal, and they had every incentive to go to Old Trafford yesterday and win that game, but they just did not get a look in. They changed the formation. Manchester United made a mockery of everything that the previous manager had done. Kobbie Mainoo, the England midfielder, had been brought back in, and Michael Carrick looks as if he's been in the job forever and a day. Let's hear what he had to say now after that win over Manchester City at Old Trafford.
Said the boys were in a good place. You know, we were quite happy with the days, how we prepared for it. Emotionally, where the boys were, the state they were at, leaving the changing room. So I was quite happy with that leading into the game. But then, listen, City are an unbelievable team with talent, and they can rotate and change things. So there's a plan, and then you've got to go plan B and C and work around it. So you never really know how the game's going to go. But for it to pan out like that, the boys were fantastic today, I have to say, in so many ways. And to manage it emotionally with the information we've given them and pulling it together. Yeah, it was pretty good.
So that's Michael Carrick there. Now, what I'd say there, you saw in that interview quite a measured individual. One of the things Roy Keane said, in amongst all the other criticism he gave Man United, as usual, last week, was that maybe these big organisations, and they're more than just football clubs now, these are global entities now, these clubs, they need someone calm in charge of them. You can't have Ruben Amorim going in there and just blowing off like a balloon
in these press conferences. And I think that because you have to be aware of what you say when, and that your words carry weight with whoever you are as a Manchester United manager, whether you're a successful one or otherwise. And Michael Carrick was quite measured yesterday, even though they won 2-0, but they had 3 goals disallowed. There was a VAR controversy as well. They were convincing winners yesterday, and it took them into the top 4 briefly. So for all the shenanigans going on at Manchester United this season, they are actually in touching distance of the Champions League. And if they could get in there this season, then that creates a problem for them, because it means they're going to have to keep Michael Carrick after all. They have the same problem they had with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer all those
save
years
their
ago.
reputation, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah, save the share price as well.
That poor lad might be able to get a haircut.
Which one, Carrick?
No.
Oh yeah, that's
the
right.
guy with the massive hair.
Oh, he's been on GB News, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I know. Well, they're 4 wins away from that.
4.
Yeah, they're 4. You've got to win 5 in a row.
On their present state,
That's
asking a lot, isn't it?
He's had his haircut for about 440
Do you know what?
days.
The other thing as well, sometimes when these managers get sacked, they're sacked when they've got easy fixtures in the offing. And yesterday, they don't come much more difficult than City at home. It did them good because they were able to flex their muscles and produce a performance like that.
All right, lovely. Aidan, we'll see you later.
Right, still to come, we'll be looking through the newspapers, including a fascinating story about somebody who has paid a fortune to have their cat cryogenically frozen so that one day they'll be reunited.
Yes, Duncan and Emma will take us through that in a moment. First, though, here's the European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Harry continues to impact parts of the Mediterranean, bringing in some wet and windy weather here. And actually, there's not a lot of sunshine to go around across parts of Europe. The best of the brightness across central and southern parts of Spain. Here's Storm Harry across the central Mediterranean, bringing in some strong winds, some heavy rain, and at times some thundery conditions. Perhaps a little bit brighter at times across parts of Greece. An improvement in conditions into next week, and temperatures widely in the mid-teens.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Dixon with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
6:46, time for the papers with the political commentators Duncan Barks and Emma Wolfe. Good morning, you two.
Good
morning.
Nice to see you. Should we have a look? We'll kick off with, well, it's in all the papers, really. You can both chip in on this one. Trump declares trade war on Britain.
Well, it's Trump's world, isn't it? We just live in it now. I mean...
It does feel like that,
It does, doesn't it? And you wake up most mornings, and I don't know about you guys, or viewers, listeners to GB News, but you look at your phone and you go, all right, what's he done now?
What's he done now?
Oh, and whilst you might be a little bit shocked, you're not necessarily surprised. So this idea that we're going to be hit with tariffs along with other countries like France and Germany, etc., until we basically back his idea of buying Greenland is, I think, a form of blackmail. I think that's what it is. And it's very interesting that our political leaders in this country, so Starmer's come out against it, Badenoch's come out against it, even Nigel Farage is just saying this is not right. And they're right to do so, because I think most people will look at this and just go, this is a step too far. It is a form of blackmail. It is unedifying. It's not great. It'll be so interesting to see what happens next.
But do we actually think... This is the other thing where I think he's weakened himself to an extent with all the tariff business. Do we actually think he's ever going to do it?
Well, we've still got 2 weeks. I don't think it'll come into effect. He's threatened tariffs before that didn't take effect, so there is time to negotiate. I think probably for once, I'd say Starmer's policy of kind of, you know, polite diplomatic refusal, mostly diplomatic silence, but when he doesn't agree with Trump, I think he's probably right. And as you say, even Ed Davey has come out against it. I think this time Trump's gone too far. People are saying, at worst, he's gone mad. I mean, this is dementia. You can't just start taking over countries like that. Where's the $700 billion going to come from? Congress would never agree. Boom, 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 boom. So many reasons. But even at best, it does look like blackmail. It does look like bullying.
I think it does, doesn't it?
And I think this is... And I've defended Trump many times about, you know, his action, about Venezuela, about the fact that he does what he says and he means what he says. But I think he's making himself look ridiculous.
I agree.
On this one.
But haven't we also made ourselves vulnerable to blackmail? You know, I mean, we've just been too weak.
We are...
I don't just mean...
But we're a nothing.
I mean,
we're a sort of nothing. Of course he didn't let Starmer know.
To get that way.
Well, geopolitically, it's almost embarrassing where we find ourselves as a nation because, you know, we've always traded on this so-called special relationship with the US. Well, clearly that does not exist. So that's on one side of the geopolitical spectrum. Then on the other, you have China. We don't want to upset China too much, so let's let them have this big Chinese embassy that people are going, might be used for spying. It's a bit dodgy. For many reasons, Britain is not the country it used to be. And whoever's running this country has to now walk this tightrope between making sure we have good relations with some people like Donald Trump, who you can argue in this case has made quite an unhinged decision, countries like China, who many in the security services go, they're not our friend, but we need their money, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a really dodgy place to find this country. It's actually quite depressing, I think.
Yeah. All right, let's turn to what is actually happening within our own political parties. Sunday Times, Emma. Darren Jones, who is the Prime Minister's right-hand man, is behind this briefing war against Wes Streeting, apparently.
No, compared to kind of what's happening in Iran and compared to what's happening with Donald Trump and Greenland, this almost feels like a sort of little bit of soap opera fun, bit of popcorn. I mean,
but also, why are the Labour Party not sitting back with their big bowls of popcorn and a few cans of lager and just enjoying the show?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've had Kemi Badenoch having serious trouble with her top team this week. And here, Labour are still infighting, apparently. And there's sources saying it's not true and it's true. There's counter-briefing and briefing. Darren Jones is the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, and he has been accused by some insiders of briefing against Wes Streeting, who is allegedly kind of on manoeuvres to, you know, maybe launch a leadership bid at some point, form an orderly queue behind Angela Rayner and King of the North that we talk about every week, and hasn't launched a leadership bid this Sunday, but anyway, Andy Burnham.
Give it time.
So apparently Darren Jones has been sort of talking about the fact that Wes Streeting is inconsistent and that is basically briefing against him. And, of course, all the Darren Jones allies are saying totally untrue.
Well, of course they would. Let's put this into context. Every politician and MP believes they can do a better job than their boss, right? That's the mindset of these people. What I would say about West Streeting, he has made some changes to the NHS, and there is some argument to say that some of the waiting lists are coming down. But also,
that's what happens when people die.
This is true. But also, he does have a strength. He is a good communicator, you know, and political parties, particularly this government, desperately needs good communicators. So if they're going after Streeting for whatever reason, they should remember that he is someone who'll pop up on GB News and indeed elsewhere and talk in a language that most people understand.
They should sack him, though, because, I mean, that's the best thing that could happen to West Streeting.
Yeah.
In the sense that if he's on the back benches, all the restraints are off, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't think that's for now. I don't think a leadership... I mean, maybe closer to the May elections, possibly, but I don't think a leadership battle is in the offing. As you say, they should just be sitting back and watching
the show.
Reform having real problems for the first time, and the Conservatives also having their own problems.
Yeah. I suppose Reform would say they're not having problems at the minute. It depends how you view it. Go on then, Duncan.
Well, I'll give you a view on this. I think Reform is one of the greatest things to happen politically to this country, OK? It's going to kick up the establishment, which is good. However, I think this generic defection is a massive mistake. I know Reform supporters who are concerned that this is just another example of the Tories Mark II. Here's a guy who came in, who was an integral part of the last government, who you know, was part of that government, and then on his defection speech talked about how he hated that last government and yet also wanted to lead that political party. There is a concern from Reform voters that it's just another example of the Conservative Party Mark II. But also, I think with his behaviour, I don't think he's trustworthy. And if you look at some of this stuff in the Mail today, with this briefing note that's been leaked, you know, talking about some of the messages he should say and how he should pitch stuff. You're the new sheriff in town and stuff like that. I think there's a very real risk that Robert Jenrick might be quite disruptive within Reform.
The only thing I'd say about that, though, and we know, is this isn't what he's written.
No, but
it's what one of his people
No, but there are notes on it.
His notes are on it.
His notes are on it, and it's clear. And I think we should all refer to him as the new sheriff. It would just really irritate him forever. He could be the sheriff.
Big badge and a hat.
Yeah, just to sort of take the mickey. But I think stepping back, it is weird, and it was a weird kind of, you know, briefing. This is how you're going to do it. But I think stepping back overall, I agree with you. A lot of what you say, Jenrick has shown himself to be really untrustworthy. I mean, whether you're a Tory or Reform supporter, not a nice man. Not the way he's gone about it. And also the fact that he attacked his own party in his speech. He didn't need to do that. You know, when you defect, just defect. But I think overall, Reform supporters are actually not that bothered. We're getting into it. We're in the, you know, in that bubble where defections... I'm not sure these defections... Jenrick doesn't... When you ask people in the street, who is this guy? He's not a big he's not a big face. He's not Farage. He's not Starmer.
There's an argument as well to say, isn't there? In a way, it's not pitched at Reform voters.
No.
It's pitched at Conservative voters.
Exactly that. So just to add some more to what I was saying, I think they were right to accept him because, look, it dominated all of the newspapers and the front pages for almost 2 days on the trot. So people who weren't aware of Reform now know more about the party, etc. And you're absolutely right. It is a problem for Kemi because while she says, oh, thank you, Nigel, for doing my spring cleaning and taking out the trash, it does put the spotlight on her party, which is split. You have some proper old-school right-wingers in there, and you have those who are more One Nation Conservative MPs, and issues like the ECHR, for example, will continue to split them. And you can't have a split party when you have one side just going, we should never come out of the ECHR, and the leader going, we should.
All right, you two. Thank you very much indeed. It's all interesting stuff, isn't it? We'll see you a little bit later.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about you, but the weather was terrible this morning where I was. You could barely see in front of your face.
Fog.
Because it was really foggy. Let's find out what it's like for you from Honor.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Quite a grey and murky start to the day, some fog rather slow to clear in places, and quite a cloudy Sunday on offer, some spells of rain, though we are likely to see a little bit of brightness later. Spells of rain across southwest England, southern parts of Wales. This will slowly shift its way northwards, pushing into central and northern parts of England through today. Perhaps a little bit brighter across the far north of Scotland, Northern Ireland, also parts of Sussex and Kent and East Anglia, maybe even some sunshine sunshine later on. But for most, it's going to be quite a cloudy and dull day, feeling quite chilly under the cloud too, but highs reaching around 11 degrees Celsius in the southeast. Now, to finish off the day, remaining fairly similar, there's still going to be quite a lot of cloud around, some low cloud, perhaps even some fog, also some spells of rain still across parts of Scotland, though a little clearer across the far north. That's where temperatures are going to be dipping away, so once again, another frost and possible icy stretches here. A few more clearer skies across Northern Ireland, but a very different story elsewhere across England and Wales. Still very cloudy with some spells of rain, and it's likely we'll see a return of some foggy conditions through the overnight period. Also some spells of rain still across England and Wales. This will fizzle away through the overnight period, and then another band of rain starting to push into Northern Ireland through the early hours of Monday. Now we'll see a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, and when we see those clear skies persist, that's where it's going to be turning chilly, dipping below freezing across parts of Scotland, so widespread frost here, but for many towns and cities remaining around the mid-single figures. Now, for the start of the new working week, once again a very cloudy and grey picture. Some fog slow to clear through the course of the morning. Some slight drizzly outbreaks across England and Wales, with the most persistent rain across parts of Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland. A little bit breezy here at times too. Temperatures still rather mild across the south, highs reaching around 9 to 10 degrees Celsius.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane. I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. Oh, definitely please enter. It is real, and that one text has just made my life 100% better.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain. He can say whatever he wants. A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning. The Prime Minister condemns Donald Trump after he slaps a 10% tariff on Britain.
And that move comes amid a broader White House crackdown on European countries that are resisting Washington's control over Greenland.
Well, Trump says it's a security necessity. Keir Starmer says it's completely wrong. Could it mark the beginning of a deeper rift between Britain and America?
Much chance of being our next Prime Minister is Zach Polanski. It's not going to happen. The choice is Starmer, or goodness knows who else, or Nigel.
Is he the new sheriff in town? Well, Tory leader Kemi Badenoch slams Robert Jenrick as a pastiche right-winger, and she vows to end the Tory psychodrama after his shock defection.
Well, meanwhile, is there a civil war in Labour? Allies of the Health Secretary have accused Number 10 of planning a briefing war against him.
Ministers are warning that they're ready to quit amid plans to scrap jury trials. How many more could follow, and what does it mean for the Prime Minister?
Apparently more families are leaving cities over rising crime, but is life in the country any better, or are parents doing their children a disservice? We'll debate that later.
And then there's the fascinating story of a space probe launched in 1977, which will become the first ever spacecraft or man-made object at all to reach a distance of 1 light day from our planet. That's 16 billion miles.
Was yesterday the day Tottenham fans finally lost patience with Thomas Frank. Spurs suffered a humiliating loss at home to relegation-threatened West Ham to push their manager a step closer to the exit door. And in tennis, there's a Brit making waves on day one at the Australian Open.
Hello there, good morning. Quite a foggy start to the day. Some of this fog could be slow to clear in places. Stay tuned to find out where we'll see the best of the brightness.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I'm intrigued, actually, by this. You know, this whole, it's in the Mail on Sunday, I'm the new sheriff in town stuff with Robert Jenrick. It's one of his aides that's written it as a sort of briefing document. I mean, whoever's written it, what a plonker.
Yeah,
but it's, look at that. They've mocked Jenrick up as an old-time sheriff there. I mean, it's just... I can't believe some of these aides to politicians do come up with the most ridiculous things.
Yeah, and damaging as well.
It is damaging.
It's damaging because apparently Robert Jenrick's handwriting is alongside some of the making comments. So he knew about that he was going to possibly, you know, brand himself as the new sheriff in town.
But it's self-awareness, though, isn't it? Yeah. They probably did it thinking it would show him in a good light, but sometimes you don't know the reaction you're going to get. Sometimes
really
you can be ridiculed.
Going to stand up and say that?
Well, he did. Well, he didn't, though, did he? Which I think.
Well, no, but it was a gunshot wedding, though, wasn't it?
Oh, very good.
Did you spot the Dukes of Hazzard?
Nigel Farage was forced to accept him in a way. Maybe they'd been planning it, but as Farage said earlier in the day, they hadn't actually drawn up a contract yet.
No.
They hadn't totally agreed on the way it would be done, so it was a gunshot wedding.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Dukes of Hazzard? Do you remember the sheriff in that?
Yeah.
Love it.
Ross Hogg.
Ross Hogg, yeah. Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Amazing. What a show.
Very good.
I wanted a car like that.
Takes us back. Takes the General Lee.
Orange one, yeah.
Yeah, very
brilliant.
Good.
What a motor.
You're not a fan of the Dukes of Hazzard?
It wasn't my sort of thing.
You didn't walk about in your Daisy Dukes?
It wasn't. Daisy Dukes, yeah.
I had a pair of shorts like
that. You youngsters like it.
That's an image I could do without. Oh, those were the good old days of telly. I love the Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah. Anyway, look away from that. But still in the States, actually, because Donald Trump has said he's going to hit the UK, Denmark and other European countries with a 10% tariff on goods exported to the US in the coming weeks.
In a Truth Social post, a long one, Trump said that the tariffs will stay in place until a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland.
He went on to say failure to reach a deal could see tariffs rise to 25% by June. Well, that would be crippling for us.
It really would. So in response, the Prime Minister has condemned the move. He says it's completely wrong and he's vowed to challenge the US directly over those tariffs.
Let's talk to US political commentator Jennifer Ewing, who's here. Good to see you this morning. What are we to make of this? Because it's a shocking move, actually. It's an unprecedented move to attack your allies in this way.
So I think you have to look at the timing. And while this is not the first time in history that the US has talked about wanting Greenland, it was discussed in the 1800s, it was discussed 3 times in the 1900s. But why is it happening yesterday? And I think the reason is because the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, visited China. First time a Prime Minister from Canada visited China in 8 years, and they discussed this new world order and how they could cooperate on security issues. So I think that may have prompted the president to do something quite drastic. So I think that's the timing for it. Now, if you zoom out a bit, this is part of what we're seeing with the National Security Strategy, the NSS document that came out about a month ago, talking about hemispheric defense for the United States, saying, we're going to look after the Western Hemisphere. And then lastly, we know Trump likes to use tariffs for national security arrangements. Now, whether or not this is his first opening gambit or what, but this is where he's starting. It's not ideal, as you say, for Europe and the UK, for no other reason that if LNG, light natural gas or something like this is included in that, that's a real problem. Europe, Germany definitely, the United Kingdom, we pay, 4 times the price for power over here that they do in the US. So this could get very, very expensive if it gets to that. I think what Trump wants, just like what he wanted with regards to Ukraine and Russia, is for Europe to pick up its fair share of what the United States feel it owes.
When it comes to our reaction and what we're prepared to put up with, doesn't it boil down to one question? Wouldn't we rather America had Greenland than Russia or China?
Well, yes, and I don't think there's anybody that will disagree in this argument that, of course, especially with the way that the ice polar caps are melting, that Greenland is incredibly important, right? We need that pathway to go through. It's a security issue. Only the United States and Russia has these icebreakers, right? Yeah. So yes, we would rather the United States has it than Russia or China, but would we rather they have it than Denmark, right? Can Denmark actually defend itself? And I think, all jokes about a few dog sleds aside, I think the answer is probably not.
But you see, the issue is as well, it's if you're talking it being a strategic spot, which it is, that's undeniable. Why not do something with it militarily without saying we need to own it?
Yeah, that's a great...
own it is the issue.
That's a really good question, and I think the answer is because there's probably, unfortunately, in your introduction alluded to this, I think there are some growing rifts between Europe and the United States. I would say on 3 major issues, whether it's free speech and censorship, whether it is energy security. The US has gone one way, Jill, baby Jill. The UK is going, and Europe certainly a different way, though I think Germany's realized their mistakes recently. And then the third way, quite frankly, is on immigration. The United States simply looks at Europe and says, you guys have left your borders wide open. That's a security risk to us. So I do think this speaks to a larger conversation, unfortunately, we're going to have between our 2 groups that have been long-term allies. I hope it can be resolved. We should all hope it can be resolved. But yeah, I think this is a lot more about Greenland.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of people are hoping that this is just Trump bluffing. Yeah. Big time, bullishly, but still a bluff. On the other, is it likely that he would slap those tariffs on anyone, do you think? Because he's given a deadline of, February the 5th or something, hasn't he?
First. Yeah, so, exactly. So that's not too far away. He has had tremendous luck in the last year, regardless of what's reported in the papers, with using these tariffs. as far as, because, you know, we know I mean, it sounds a little crazy at the moment, but he does not like to go in and have all of these, you know, kinetic wars. So he's using tariffs. He's using economic sanctions and that sort of thing. So I think this is the opening gamut. But yeah, I think he would start to do this unless something else can be done.
And will he respect, the fact that Starmer is standing up to him at the moment, is he the sort of man who will respect that? Will that do us any good, rather than just kowtowing to it?
No, Stephen, I don't think it will. And, you know, I know we like to talk about the special relationship. I've lived in the United Kingdom for over 20 years. You know, I like to think we do have a special relationship. But on those three issues I just mentioned, we have heard more and more from the United States being critical of the UK and indeed Europe about freedom of speech and censorship, controlling borders, and of course, hey guys, why don't you drill in the North Sea? So I think there's a lack of respect that I don't think that the president respects Keir Starmer. I think while he'll be very polite in front of an audience, especially when we're doing press conferences and everything, he's polite to Erdogan. You know, he's polite. He will always say, hey, this is a great guy, this is a great woman. But no, I do not think that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom's saying this is wrong is going to deter the President of the United States.
Okay, Jennifer, really good to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
So what does broadcaster Christo Foufas, who's moved in at the other side of the table, what do you think of all this? I mean, what on earth can Keir Starmer do to repair what looks like increasing damage?
I think that he's in an incredibly precarious position, Keir Starmer, because well, firstly, he's going to have to try and have an opinion. He's going to have to actually, because he's not very good at having that. He's incredibly weak at actually having not only an ideological direction, but an opinion on anything. And he really is, at the moment, he's holding fast by saying that these tariffs are unacceptable. And they are bad for the UK. Let's make no bones about this. This could be, as Jennifer pointed out, incredibly damaging to the United Kingdom. The question is, what is the strategy next? What does Keir Starmer do next? And does Keir Starmer could actually play this very well and try and facilitate what Donald Trump, I think, ultimately wants, which is a deal. This is a man who likes to make a deal. And I think that this is essentially him throwing out the worst case scenario first, so that therefore, and you know, will this strategy work? I don't know, but I think that this is what he's doing in order to then soften people up, to then hopefully do some sort of Greenland deal. And Keir Starmer could try and make that happen. The problem that we have with him, though, is that the weakness that he's shown, as we alluded to before, with the Chagos Islands. I mean, that was not a deal in the slightest. That was essentially a surrender that we were paying for. I don't have much faith in that happening. An interesting fact about Greenland is that obviously it's got this mineral wealth, but also there is an incredible amount of land there, which a lot of the tech companies in the US want for servers, for AI. And so this is Trump
because it's cold.
And it's perfect. And this is Trump with one eye on the future about that, and not wanting that precious land to go to places like China and Russia. So in the bigger picture, I mean, if you're looking at the fight against AI, you can see the logic, and you can see why. Obviously, you know, we have been massively disrespected. Europe has been massively disrespected. It's shown the impotence of us and Europe in the eyes of Donald Trump, I think. But also on paper, yes, we would want Trump or America to have that control rather than Russia or China. It's just, the question is this the right way that Trump is going about this? Now,
well, this is interesting because, I mean, loads of people have got in touch this morning, but this one just piqued my interest from Gerald, who said maybe the world would be a safer place if America was in control of Greenland. But America is wrong to try to bully its allies. It's a terrible mistake by President Trump. We like strong leaders, but nobody likes a bully.
But I think...
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but then... You know, sometimes do we not need to tear things up a little? We have not been, as a European, you know, as part of Europe, it's well known that Europe has not pulled its weight when it's come to NATO. There has been so much reliance on America when it's come to our defence. And And Donald Trump doesn't like that and has given the warning shot years ago that he was going to be wanting us to do more when it comes to NATO spending. And so I think that you can join all of these dots together. Now, the problem Keir Starmer faces is where to go from here, as we've said. So we've got America, where clearly he is not particularly respected, but also, will he then want to turn to Europe and perhaps forge better ties there? Well, I can't imagine an electorate that voted for Brexit would in any way accept that either. So he's found himself in a very, very precarious place. If I were Keir Starmer, I would be going on a massive charm offensive towards Donald Trump. I would be...
But we've got the King visiting quite soon.
And I think, but the problem is the King, I think, is visiting after these apparent tariffs come in. But yes, that is on the horizon. Could we, in some way, try and sort of evoke the patriotism and all of that will be happening around all of that? I think Trump responds to what is the phrase?
Flattery.
Yeah, and what is it?
An iron fist and
velvet glove.
Yeah.
And that's what I think he responds to. Thatcher had it. I know I talk about her a lot. I really shouldn't every time I'm on I talk about Thatcher. But she had it down to a T with Reagan, actually, because charm, oh, we'll dance together, but you cross me and I'll have your
they did have a real friendship, though, didn't they? Their friendship was real.
Yes.
Whereas...
they were cut from the same cloth, weren't they?
Yes, exactly. Trump and Starmer, you can't see a friendship, can you?
I mean, that's why I would be trying if I were him, but you're quite right. They are so, I mean, as you pointed out, they're so fundamentally different. They're so different, and they pay a lot of lip service to each other. Oh, there's no problem with free speech in the UK in front of Donald Trump. That's just demonstrably untrue. But what other option is there? What, we stand up to the states and say, well, sorry, I was listening, I don't know if I said this on air before or not, but I was listening on the way in to some radio phone-ins on less reputable stations than news radio, of course. And people say we should declare war on the USA. I mean,
nobody's going to do that.
No one's going to do that.
I don't think so. I mean, I think probably going back to, does the US and does Trump respect Keir Starmer? I mean, we've been hearing about this coalition of the willing with regards to Ukraine for months. And the only troops we've seen sort of getting deployed have been, a few from Britain, a few from Germany to Greenland. So, I
think overall, I'm coming down on the fact I want America to have much more of a stronger role in Greenland. I just want people in Greenland to kind of want it a bit more. And that's also the next step. I know there are some protests, but what do people in Greenland actually want? And has it been sold to them?
Well, I've seen documentary sort of reports on both sides of people in Greenland saying, yeah, Trump would be great for us. That's the sort of backing we need, and seem to be quite pro. And then the next minute you turn on the television to another sort of channel and you see the exact opposite. So...
But this is the world, isn't it? I mean, we've got the same thing here. David been in touch saying Trump is nothing more than a petulant, immature 5-year-old. Peter Goodwin says, OK, let's cosy up to China, give them a shiny new embassy in London. What a good idea. But what, Trump wants to take control of Greenland? No, Trump's a terrible man. Much better that we deal with those honourable Chinese leaders. I'm going to be extremely sarcastic, but it's... absolutely split on this.
To that point, I wonder if Trump and his advisors look at all of this with these, the European coalition that you talk about, the Chinese embassy, or lack of free speech, and think, well, actually, we talk about whether the US has a special relationship with us. They must look at us and think, well, actually, we've nothing in common at all with the United Kingdom.
All we've ever done is help you out.
Yeah, all we've ever done. And actually, our values are so unaligned. You're cozying up to the Chinese. You're doing all of this stuff. 12,000 people arrested for free speech. Perhaps we don't want a special relationship with you anymore.
I mean, it is said that Trump is absolutely dismayed by our decision, or so far, to let the Chinese build this super embassy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is, and all the points you just brought up and I discussed before, I mean, we do have some fundamental differences with our two countries. I mean, the Chinese embassy, they're going, what are you doing? Why would you put that in the center of your country? That just seems absolutely insane. So I think that the gloss of the special relationship can only go so far, because when you look at the deeper issues, and this is one of them, and with regards to Greenland, I mean, one of the things we're hearing is it $100,000? Is it $1 million? Like, Trump's actually saying to the people of Greenland, I'll give each of you a number, you know, and then what, do they have a referendum and decide, hey, we'd rather be part of the US than Denmark? I mean, there's so many ways in which this could go.
Just looking up flights to Greenland.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Get citizenship.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right, you two, Jennifer, Christo, thank you.
I tell you what, doesn't it make you a bit sad when we're talking on the same day about Voyager 1's amazing photograph of the pale blue dot, and Carl Sagan saying, that tiny little dot there, that's Earth. That's you and me and all the rest of us. And you think, gosh, it's such a tiny little planet in the middle of nowhere. Why can't we get on, for heaven's sake?
It's a world of it, isn't it? Interestingly, someone's just been in touch and said Greenland, it's Alan, hi Alan, says Greenland is 9 times the size of the UK and has the population of Whitby.
Yeah.
So, which is an interesting point.
But it has rare earth minerals.
It does, but they can't get to them.
And geographically, it's sort of between 2 major superpowers.
The server farm idea is
very interesting.
Anyway, look, more on that throughout the course of the day, no doubt. In the meantime, let's check on the weather with Honor.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Quite a grey and murky start to the day, some fog rather slow to clear in places, and quite a cloudy Sunday on offer, some spells of rain, though we are likely to see a little bit of brightness later. Spells of rain across southwest England, southern parts of Wales. This will slowly shift its way northwards, pushing into central and northern parts of England through today. Perhaps a little bit brighter across the far north of Scotland, Northern Ireland, also parts of Sussex and Kent and East Anglia, maybe even some sunshine later on, but for most it's going to be quite a cloudy and dull day, feeling quite chilly under the cloud too, but highs reaching around 11 degrees Celsius in the southeast. Now, to finish off the day, remaining fairly similar, there's still going to be quite a lot of cloud around, some low cloud, perhaps even some fog, also some spells of rain still across parts of Scotland, though a little clearer across the far north. That's where temperatures are going to be dipping away, so once again, another frost and possible icy stretches here. A few more clearer skies across Northern Ireland, but a very different story elsewhere across England and Wales. Still very cloudy with some spells of rain, and it's likely we'll see a return of some foggy conditions through the overnight period. Also some spells of rain still across England and Wales. This will fizzle away through the overnight period, and then another band of rain starting to push into Northern Ireland through the early hours of Monday. Now we'll see a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, and where we see those clear skies persist, that's where it's going to be turning chilly, dipping below freezing across parts of Scotland, so widespread frost here, but for many towns and cities remaining around the mid-single figures. Now, for the start of the new working week, once again, a very cloudy and grey picture. Some fog slow to clear through the course of the morning. Some slight drizzly outbreaks across England and Wales, with the most persistent rain across parts of Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland. A little bit breezy here at times too. Temperatures still rather mild across the south, highs reaching around 9 to 10 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Yeah, good luck with the weather wherever you are. It's very murky at the moment, isn't it? Time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, my name is the Reverend Pat Allerton and I'm a vicar in the Church of England. Have you ever been at a party or even a wedding where they ran out of wine? Not a high point in the celebration. Well, even less so in Jesus' day in the Middle East, where celebrating a wedding could go on for 3 days, and it was a matter of deep shame and embarrassment if you ran out of wine. Well, that's exactly what happened at the wedding at Cana in Galilee, which is the scene of Jesus' first miracle, of course. I think it's probably known to most of us, Jesus turning water into wine. And word comes to Jesus through Mary, his mother, that they've run out of wine. Can you do something? Eventually he says to the servants there, fill these ceremonial washing jars, giant things that held gallons of water, fill it with tap water, and the rest is history. He turns it into the most delicious wine they'd ever tasted. And the embarrassment and shame of the bridegroom is spared. This is just a picture of what Jesus can do in our lives. He turns lack into abundance. He turns sorrow into joy. He can even take away our shame and bring us praise instead. Because in this miracle, the master of the banquet goes up to the bridegroom and says, Everyone serves the best wine first and then brings out the poorer stuff, the cheaper stuff, when the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till last. And with Jesus, that's exactly what we get. God has provided the best. At the end, He saved the best till last with the coming of Jesus Christ, who can give us all these things, and ultimately, that wine speaks of His blood, which He came to shed for you and for me, to take away our sin and to remove our shame by dying for us on a cross. And when we receive that, we receive praise instead of shame. Why not receive the wine that Jesus has for you today?
Very good, especially if you're having a bad time at the moment. Don't despair. Best is yet to come.
But apparently we're going to fake the moon landing anyway.
Hey, sorry, what?
They're not landing this time on Artemis 2, are they?
No,
they're
just going round it.
Yeah, but
they're going round it.
But the conspiracy theories have already started that it'll all be fake, like it was last time, huh?
Come on, bit of positivity. Actually, we need a bit more positivity.
Yes, we do.
We should need to be more positive about the country. We'll never get it back to where it's meant to be
There was
unless
a
we're a
song,
bit more
wasn't
positive.
there? Accentuate the positive.
Oh, is it? I thought you were going, things can only get better.
Well, that too.
Oh dear. Right, still to come. Is city life or country life better for raising a family? We'll debate it next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
The University of Bristol has been threatened with legal action by a leading academic who led a recent government review into sex and gender data collection.
Well, Professor Alice Sullivan claims her freedom of speech was restricted after a talk she gave was disrupted by a trans rights protest.
Protesters actually scaled the walls of the building. We were in a first-floor lecture theatre, and they climbed the walls in order to bang on the windows and sort of howl through the windows. It felt incredibly surreal in there. It was like some kind of zombie apocalypse.
What was it, Alice, that these students objected to? So you have recently led this government review, and all you've said, as far as I can see, very rightly, is that police should be recording and the NHS should be recording people's biological sex rather than their gender identity. And you have a very good reason for saying that, which is that cancer referrals have been missed and crimes have been misrecorded because of this idea of gender identity. Is that really what these students object to, or have you said anything else that they might object to?
No, and it is extraordinary. I have literally argued that we should collect data on sex and we should also collect data on transgender identities as well. It's not a zero-sum game. We need accurate data on all groups in order to serve the needs and the human rights of all groups. It's all I've ever said. And I can only imagine that had these protesters actually come in and listened to my talk, they might have been surprised, because I really don't know what they thought I was saying. Obviously, from the perspective of someone outside the room banging on the window, they have no idea what I'm saying.
It's absolutely extraordinary. I mean, it's very good. This is why people need to come in and listen.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right. Recent data apparently shows that over 80% of the UK people live in cities. But rising crime and high living costs are pushing more families out to the countryside.
But opinion is divided over which is best to raise a family.
Experts say that country living reduces stress.
City life offers excitement and new opportunities, apparently.
So if you had the choice, which would you do? Would you raise your children in the city or in the country?
I think it probably depends where you're from.
And how much you can afford.
And what you can afford.
Yeah.
Let's talk to lifestyle journalist and parenting expert at Canal and the farmer, Gareth Wynne-Jones. Good to see you both this morning. I'm going to start, Annette, with you because I know I'm going to agree with Gareth. So, Annette, why is city life better?
I think a little bit of grit and grime is good for children. You can't just pop to the shop. And when you get to a teenager, it's when you want opportunities. You know, I love dance. Dance was an hour each way. And I think in the city you have art, museums, you have culture, you do have some green spaces, and there's always something to do, and often it's for free. And actually, the stats show that when children get to teenagers, 19% in the countryside can find a job, whereas in the city it's 39%. So if we want those young workers out, I say the city.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it, Gareth? How would you counter that argument?
Well, you know, being a father of the 3 children, it's an amazing way to bring your children up. They get to hear the first cuckoo, they get to see the first swallows, they see the first leaves on the trees, they understand nature. You know, they can just go out and play anytime they want. They've got the biggest playground with no problems. They grew their own food. They had their own chickens. They started their own businesses by selling eggs. You know, that's what farming and the countryside can do. And yeah, look, you can visit the city. You can go to museums. You can jump on a train. You know, my wife is a bit of a city slicker. She loves to go into London and do her shopping and things. I absolutely hate it. I come back home and my nose is like concrete because breathing all that awful air. I'm outside here now in the shed with my cows, you know, and it just smells absolutely fantastic. Much better than the city slicking life for me.
Yeah, well, you know, I would agree with you there, Gareth, I have to say. However, you know, there is... What about the culture thing? Because it's, as you say, you can pop...
Tallow face cream called Only Cow, just a quick plug there, and it's fantastic. Might send you some as well down the line. But, you know, this is what entrepreneurs can do in the countryside, because you've got to look for ways and means of starting businesses. For me, you know, if you want to live in the city, that's your choice. And the majority of people do live in cities, but they lose that connection with nature. They lose that connection with the environment. And for me, education is key, you know, eating healthy, understanding seasonal local food. And I think when you're outside in the countryside, you'll get a better idea of that than you will do when you're brought up in the city.
Yeah, Annette, don't you think that, I mean, if you are brought up totally as in part of the city life, we hear these reports of children who don't know where meat and milk comes from. They never get a chance to go out and actually see green fields.
I absolutely blame the parents, though, because there's nothing stopping them educating their children in the city as well. And there's lots of green spaces in the city, and you can find other things to do. You can also go out of the city and visit places for the day and learn about it. It's, you know, we have blank canvases as children. We need to implement how to live, how to be healthy, how to be interested. And, you know, Gareth, I grew up on a farm and a farming area. And yes, it is lovely, but my dad used to say, I'm not a bloody taxi service.
Exactly.
And he used to get very annoyed carting me around and taking me to places. And he, you know, had 3 kids. It did become difficult at times to get around. And actually, my mum and dad have moved closer to London now, so it's all good for me.
All right, you two. Well, we'll agree to disagree, which is always a nice position to be in.
Which is good. We need both, don't we?
Gareth, thank you very much indeed. Give those cows a pat from me, Gareth.
I will do.
Good man. Good man. Thank you. Keep your thoughts coming.
I must say
through
that
on
was
one.
my experience bringing up children near the city. In the end, we moved into the city so that they could be more independent. There would be buses, there would be, ways to get around, there would be things to do and places to go. Being stuck out in a village in the middle of nowhere turned out to be the wrong move.
Did it? You see, I'm a country boy through and through.
It's all right when they're little and you can keep their life totally to your garden or whatever, but when they want to go out and be with their friends, you end up just driving all the time.
Yeah.
You're driving them everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know my parents did that, just going to the nearest towns for St John's ambulance and picking us up from a night out or whatever it might be. But I don't know. I've never been a city boy. It's just not me. But I think it's partly just what's in your DNA, really. I know people who are born and bred in London who just would never want to live anywhere else. I mean, I can't see it personally, but if it works for you, it works for you. Anyway, keep your thoughts coming through. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Wouldn't it be nice to have the choice? Or maybe one of these, you have a little country cottage as well as a place in the city. Very nice. And I don't know whether 85 grand would quite get you your dream cottage, but it's there for you to win. Here's how.
There's only 2 weeks left to ensure you're in the draw to win our biggest cash prize so far. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane from Manchester. I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. It is real and it does happen to everyday people like myself. And that one text has just made my life 100% better.
But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, best of luck to you. Right, don't go anywhere because Aidan McGee's going to be here with all your sport in just a moment.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News. Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless.
I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dixon weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
All right, Aidan's got the sport, 7:40. What should we start with?
I think we should...
Frank.
Yes, absolutely. Tottenham are in deep trouble at the moment. Not in terms of the league table, but they've won 7 matches from 22, 9 defeats. They were hoping for so much more this season. It was all pinned on Ange Postecoglou last season, wasn't it? But he won the trophy. He stepped out of the way. He's since been to Nottingham Forest and failed there. Thomas Frank was meant to be the answer, and it just appears that that is not the case. He was booed yesterday. They lost at home to West Ham United. West Ham hadn't won a league game for 10 matches, and they were away from home as well. And this was a disastrous defeat from Tottenham's point of view. All the talk yesterday was about Man United, of course, and about Oliver Glasner, who we'll come on to later on. These stories are linked, as I'll explain in a moment. But let's hear from Thomas Frank yesterday after that dreadful defeat at home to West Ham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
You all saw the game today. We could easily have won this one 2-1. I think it's no excuses, but also the reason we're a little bit down to the bare bone with players. And we also need some of the offensive players to score a goal or two. All that is difficult for me just to do like that and click with a finger. But I can promise that I'm sitting here, I'm giving everything every single day. I feel the trust from everyone, and there's only one way, we need to keep going.
The thing is here about Thomas Frank is that it's not all his fault that Tottenham are in this situation now. This is 5-6 years worth of dreadful recruitment, but they've got a handful of players there who should be performing better than they are right now, and that's where the manager comes into his own. It starts and stops with Thomas Frank. They've got a huge game on Tuesday in the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund. They've then got they've got Burnley away, then another Champions League game against Eintracht Frankfurt, then Man City after that. They don't get any easier. I don't think he's going to be there for much longer. And it feeds into the Oliver Glasner situation at Crystal Palace, because he gave it... We talked about him yesterday at Crystal Palace. Yeah. He, having had quite a conciliatory press conference talking about his parting with the board and Crystal Palace. They lose at Sunderland yesterday, and he comes out and says that we feel abandoned, as we'll hear in a moment. Now, I wonder whether mischievously he's heard that Tottenham have lost at home, and maybe that's a job that he can go into. Let's listen to Oliver Glasner now and see what he said after that defeat at Sunderland.
I can't remember, and you are watching Crystal Palace longer than me, that the Crystal Palace side dominated the Tottenham side like we did today. But then leaving the pitch with a defeat, so that makes it frustrating for all our players, because they are feeling the same. And I don't blame anybody for missing the chances, but we have to accept right now that we have a little bit lack of finishing quality in the team. It looks like we can't replace Ismaila, Dani Munoz and Daichi Kamada, who are very often involved in our goals.
So he doesn't blame his players there, but the players feel abandoned because they're selling everyone from under his feet. They sold the captain, of course, yesterday. And I just wonder whether the stars are going to align and Glasner ends up replacing Thomas Frank at Tottenham within a fortnight. That's how football works. It's a soap opera. It's mad. You heard it here first.
Yeah. All right. All right. We shall
yes,
see.
exactly.
We'll keep you
Have we got time for a little bit of tennis?
We haven't. No.
OK, we'll do it next hour.
We'll do it next hour.
Yeah,
all right, thank
big
you.
tennis story. And next question is, do you believe that alien life exists and has come to visit us in Earth? We'll be discussing that and more in the papers with Duncan Bartz and Emma Wolf. First of all, though, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's where you're going to have to go for it.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Harry continues to impact parts of the Mediterranean, bringing in some wet and windy weather here. And actually, there's not a lot of sunshine to go around across parts of Europe. The best of the brightness across central and southern parts of Spain. Here's Storm Harry across the central Mediterranean, bringing in some strong winds, some heavy rain, and at times some thundery conditions. Perhaps a little bit brighter at times across parts of Greece. An improvement in conditions into next week, and temperatures widely in the mid-teens.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
So it comes down to money, doesn't it? Always follow the money, follow the money. And, you know, big tech is a big business. It is a very, very powerful industry. And it's pulled a blinder because it has convinced government and schools, teaching unions, you know, the individual local authorities that are responsible for procurement. It has convinced everyone that tech is either not harmful in the case perhaps of social media and smartphones, or actually beneficial. And it's a lie. I mean, it's a complete lie. The evidence is there. It is harmful.
There are plenty of examples in society where there are things that we know that are harmful to children, or that they may come with risks and benefits associated with them. Let's say contact sports, for example. Let's say giving them junk food. But we still give parents the right to make that decision because we believe in the rights of parental responsibility over state intervention in those areas. What makes those areas different to the risks and benefits associated with digital use for kids?
Yeah, I mean, look, absolutely. And I, as you know, as Rennie knows, I'm about as libertarian as one gets, certainly for adults. I do think when you know, the intersection of individual choice and freedom with child welfare and child safety is rather different. And I think there are many examples of areas where a problem is too big for individual parents to solve. I mean, you've mentioned contact sports, and I think that's a really good example because, of course, there we all have the choice as parents whether our children should or shouldn't engage in contact sports. But phones are rather different. I mean, certainly smartphones, and I think that, you know, you do have a distinction with phones versus edtech. It is literally mandated by schools, and there is no legal right for parents to opt out. So there is no choice.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Right, time for the papers with Duncan Barks and Emma Wolfe. Morning, you two. Oh, Emma, Sunday Times. The impact of phones on children is an emergency. Who's saying that?
Absolutely. I've only been saying it for 17 years. So this is top doctors and medics are now declaring it a public health emergency. They've been meeting recently, talking about the really damaging effect on screen time and the online harm and the really harmful content that is out there. And this isn't just the sort of mental health that we always talk about, the effects on mental health and concentration and all of that. This is now an emergency in terms of physical well-being. Some of these doctors talking about young women turning up at A&E with knife wounds. One young woman died from knife wounds during a sex act with her boyfriend. People dying during suffocation and strangulation, and all of this stuff that they are seeing in really explicit pornography online, as well as everything else that is damaging about the internet, and turning up at A&E with this kind of physical injuries.
It's a horrific read on the front page of the Sunday Times. And I just don't know what we do with it, because, of course, we've got this...
Ban it.
Well, there's that, but also you've got to have the conversation about how far do you continue to ban stuff, because we've got the ongoing debate about social media bans for those under the age of 16. It's happened in Australia. Should we have it in this country? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of mounting evidence, which is just like, we need to do something. But at what point do you say you need to stop here or you need to go further? And I just don't know what the answer is.
I really do know what the answer is. We just say no smartphones under 16. Yeah. We will look back on this time and we will honestly be ashamed of what we did to young children and young people.
How do you enforce it?
No, but of course it's difficult. Yeah. Of course there are ways around it. Of course they'll borrow their devices of their older siblings, all of that. But at least if you, just like cigarettes, alcohol, at least if you make smartphones illegal for those under 16, you have a benchmark. Yeah. You have guidance for parents who would be hugely relieved at this. Many young people themselves in Australia have been talking about the relief they feel that they're not meant to be on social media.
They're not in the right direction.
Step in the right direction.
You stop reading awful stories like this.
Yeah.
We've just got to be brave and do it, really.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's all there waiting for them. It's not as though you get to 17 and there's no smartphones anymore. It's all there. They can spend, like we do, they can spend their whole lives staring at this rectangular thing in their hand.
But their brain hasn't been damaged.
Their brain hasn't been damaged. Children's brains are still developing until their early 20s.
There's another health story, Duncan, in the Mail, which is so horrible, you almost don't want to go into it.
I'm not a fan of trigger warnings, but I will issue a trigger warning, particularly if you're someone who's listening or watching GB News at the moment and you might be going for a medical procedure. So just bear this in mind. But there's a story in today's Mail on Sunday of a list of 237 mistakes that have been revealed that have happened in the NHS. I won't get too graphic, but the bottom line is people go into a medical facility, people have had procedures that they don't need. Someone who was due to go in for a chat with his consultant ended up having his bladder investigated with a tube being inserted. They only realised it was the wrong person when he came out of the actual procedure, and the person who was due to have it done was going, hang on a second, I've got an appointment for this. You've also got stories of people who have been operated on and they've operated on the wrong part of someone. So it's not a great story. It gets us into this whole area about the NHS. It does look like it's about a lack of communication, and it's just something that if you're going to go into hospital, just be aware that you make it very clear as to what you're going in for and who you are.
Well, it's why normally it's always laughable when you have an operation. They start drawing on you with pens.
Yeah.
So it's this shoulder.
But I have no problem with that.
But that's why you want them to do it.
I had my hip replaced about 2 years ago, and the guy came in with one of those big markers. It was just like a big arrow on the left side, and I was like, good, this can't go wrong.
And these are called never events. But I understand the NHS pay billions in medical negligence through these events, and it just shouldn't be able to happen. I also think patients need to advocate for themselves. If you are due to have a chat with your consultant and they start doing a bladder cystology or whatever it was called, it might be worth saying, what's
interesting
going
about that, though, an older generation, and my mum's no longer alive, but before she died, she went through a lot of NHS experiences. They do take at face value
what the doctor
says. They're not of that mindset to challenge, because it's a slightly different way of being brought up. So they're the expert. If they're saying that's what I need, whereas you and I just go, I'm not having that done. I don't need that done.
You see, it's funny though, because we always laugh. When my brother was a teenager and he had to go and have an operation on his toe. He was in and out job on his toe. The man in the bed next to him was going in for a vasectomy. And Richard, it was all panic, to make sure, every time a nurse watched it, he went, I'm just having my toe looked at every time. And we've always laughed about it. Yeah. But actually, it makes you think.
Serious.
Well, it does, and I mean, there are so many procedures that get done. It is like a factory of in, and.
Don't you think
make sure it's clear that it's the right person?
It shows that you really need somebody with you, because you're vulnerable. Obviously, you're vulnerable, and you're feeling very, very tender and vulnerable to whatever a doctor might say. Yeah. You need somebody with you, and it actually, if you don't have a relative to come in with you, maybe there's a role for what do they call it?
Patient-like advocate.
Advocate.
Yeah, an advocate, a responsible advocate to go in with you and make sure your interests are upheld. The questions you want to ask asked are asked, and maybe they stick with you and make sure that everybody around you understands that it's that leg that's going to be amputated, not that one.
Yeah.
I think that's so true. And even with things like when you're prescribed something, you know, you and I, we probably have a list of things, we know what we're on, all of that. But there are older people, maybe vulnerable people who aren't really clued up or don't speak English or whatever. They might not know that they're taking something that really shouldn't interact. And we're all Googling it. And I do think it can be a confusing system if you're not on it.
Well, look, maybe, though, we should all just plan to, well, sort of live forever. The Mail on Sunday. God.
Here we go.
Some man has had his cat cryogenically frozen, Duncan.
He has.
For £16,000.
Yeah, let's put this into context. It's not any old man. It's a man who's got a few quid in the bank and he's able to do this. So this is a finance worker from Newcastle called Mark McCullough, and he had an adopted cat called Bonnie. And people watching and listening will know you do become very attached to your pets. Bonnie sadly passed away at the age of 23, which is not a bad innings.
Very good,
actually. And he's decided to have her effectively frozen at a specialist facility in Switzerland in the hope that at some point in the future, the technology and the science will exist to be able to bring Bonnie back to her feline life.
But it's not even... I could understand it a little bit if she died at the age of 10 with a condition that you think, well, they could
One day they'll be able to
to fix her.
Yeah.
But at 23, she's beyond old for a cat.
Yeah.
So it's like, what on earth are they hoping they can do? Reverse ageing in 1,000 years?
Is this serious denial? Is he in denial and he thinks he can really somehow bring her back?
I don't know. I mean, I said he's got a few quid. He's paying it in three instalments over a period of time. So maybe you turn that on its head. He is just missing his cat.
Yes. But the reality is there's no point doing this.
But the cat has died of old age.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they revive it, it'll be old for a cat.
It'll be old
still.
and creaky still.
Don't underestimate people's loves for their
No,
pets.
well,
no,
oh, absolutely.
But unless he then pays for himself to be cryogenically frozen, what's the point?
Where are the rules on this as well? I mean, can you do this for a child? I mean, can you do this for a relative? I just don't know what the rules are.
I think you can cryogenically freeze anybody.
Anybody. Just keep them effectively not buried or not cremated.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
I know. All right, you too. Thank you. We'll keep you on ice until the next hour.
Thank you.
We've got the top stories coming up in just a moment.
Talking of ice, here's the weather.
Oh, well.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane. I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. Oh, definitely please enter. It is real, and that one text has just made my life 100% better.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister condemns Donald Trump after he slaps a 10% tariff on Britain.
Yes, and that move comes amid a broader White House crackdown on European countries that are resisting Washington's control over Greenland.
Well, Trump says it's a security necessity. Sir Keir Starmer says it's completely wrong. So could this mark the beginning of a deeper rift between Britain and America?
Much chance of being our next Prime Minister is Zach Polanski. It's not going to happen. The choice is Starmer, or goodness knows who else, or Nigel.
Well, the Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch, slams Robert Jenrick as a pastiche right-winger as she vows to end the Tory psychodrama after his shock defection.
Meanwhile, is there a civil war in Labour? Allies of Wes Streeting accusing Number 10 of planning a briefing war against him.
Ministers are also warning they're ready to quit amid plans to scrap jury trials. How many more could follow, and what does it say for the Prime Minister?
Our space probe, launched in 1977, will soon become the first ever man-made object to reach a distance of 1 light day from our planet. It's taken nearly 50 years to get a light day away. It's 16 billion miles.
Michael Carrick enjoyed an ideal start in his first game as Manchester United's interim manager. His side beat City rivals 2-0 in the Manchester derby at Old Trafford. And in tennis, the Australian Open is underway, and we'll hear about the Brit qualifier who pulled off a first-round shock in Melbourne.
Hello there, good morning. Quite a foggy start to the day. Some of this fog could be slow to clear in places. Stay tuned to find out where we'll see the best of the brightness.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Loads of you getting in touch over all the issues we're covering today. But it's interesting how often, not always, but often you all seem to agree with each other. It's changed. Now, on days like today, you know, whether it's about the Jenrick issue and reform, a lot of you disagreeing on that, lots of you disagreeing on Trump and what he's doing with Greenland and the tariffs and all that. So it's always think it's quite interesting when we get both sides of the story.
And even whether you're so fond of your pet animal, dog or cat, whether you would consider paying something like 16 grand to have them cryogenically frozen when they die, so that maybe one day you'll be reunited.
There's also, with it, a lot of rich people, Hollywood types, seem to be having their pets cloned. But you see, I don't think that's it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not that animal being reborn, is it? It's
similar, though.
But it's similar, genetically.
Yeah, but that's like saying two twins are the same, or exactly the same, and they're not. I mean, yes, true. DNA is, but they're different personalities, different people.
Different souls, I guess you would say.
Yeah, and that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Anyway, all interesting stuff, isn't it? Keep your thoughts coming in this morning. And especially on our top story, which is Donald Trump planning to hit the UK, Denmark and other European countries with a 10% tariff on goods exported to the US.
Yes, in a Truth Social, very long post, Trump said the tariffs will stay in place until a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland.
Well, he went on to say failure to reach a deal could see tariffs rise to 25% by June.
Which is whopping. In response, our Prime Minister has condemned the move, calling it wrong, and vowed to challenge the US directly over those tariffs.
Let's talk to US journalist Hadley Gamble, who's here in the studio. Good to see you.
Good morning.
What do we make of this, then? Is this a bluff? Is this a negotiation tool? Or is this what Trump is really going to do.
What does Trump himself say? F around and find out. So the question here is, does this country, do European nations, NATO countries want to be part of the great game? Because this is the 21st century great game, and President Trump is saying, if you are not willing to play, then you need to pay up. Think about it this way. For this president, this is all about spheres of influence. He's talking about the Western Hemisphere being dominated by the United States. He's done this through regime change in Venezuela. He's looking to do this potentially with Greenland. But as someone who has covered Russia, covered the energy sector for 15 years, I want to take you back to 2021 when I interviewed Vladimir Putin. One of many topics of conversation between the two of us was the Arctic. The Russians had just developed their hypersonic missiles, and they were working. We, at that time in the United States and in the West, didn't have anything to combat this new technology. And when I asked him, can I go and see your hypersonic missiles, he sort of laughed and he said, well, they're on a submarine in the Arctic. And that was in 2021. So successive governments, whether they were in the United States, NATO-led governments, did absolutely nothing to secure the Arctic. And what astonishes me when we see the pushback, you know, it sounds like a great headline. What is he doing now? But the pushback from the United States, or to the United States from Great Britain specifically, this is a country that through successive governments, left and right, have, propped up climate policies that made, A, absolutely no sense and were absolutely bad for business. Yet they can't seem to understand that the Arctic is melting and that that might be a problem for them. Look about you in this kind of situation that we are in now. We're about to all head to the World Economic Forum in Davos. This is the center of globalism, right? A lot of European leaders are not even going to show up because Donald Trump will be there. And apparently it's the biggest U.S. delegation to ever attend the World Economic Forum. The Europeans don't even want to talk to him. Yet at the same point, these are governments that have done absolutely nothing to secure the Arctic from Vladimir Putin. And yet at the same time, they seem surprised when the U.S. president is saying, we could have a situation like the invasion of Ukraine. And they don't seem to have any, answer for him. So this is a real rethink, right, and a real reset moment. And I've spoken to the NATO Secretary General upon many occasions. Great guy, wants to do the right thing. But they still, at this point, 3 days later, have nothing to say. They have no cohesive answer except this is unacceptable, which is rather astonishing.
But what about the sovereignty issue here? I mean, Trump could make moves to secure Greenland with assistance from NATO and everybody else without saying, oh, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to own it. That seems to be the sticking point.
Well, I think what did they say? If you break it, you buy it, right? So I think this is coming from his business mindset, which is that if I do this my way, I get through all the red tape of NATO and European countries. I wouldn't say this as an attack on the people of Greenland or even on Denmark itself. It's just saying the United States needs to be secure. My job as president is to secure this country and this hemisphere from what I see as very real threats. And we've seen Vladimir Putin had no problem moving into Europe. All I hear from European leaders for the last 6 months is the war is coming. We need to, double down on defense and spend more. And yet at the same point, they seem completely unaware that the Arctic is melting and that will be a major flashpoint. We used to talk about the soft underbelly of Europe. We now need to be talking about the Arctic. And the fact that they have refused to do that is astonishing.
Don't you think Denmark and the, 400,000 people who live in Greenland ought to have some sort of a democratic vote over this? I mean, you never know. They might actually prefer to go to Trump.
The series of memes would suggest otherwise on Instagram and on TikTok and all of these things. And that's fair. That's fair. The jokes about massive Buc-ee's gas stations in Greenland. I mean, I don't think anybody wants that, even those of us who sit in the United States and benefit from Buc-ee's. But I think, this is a president who says, I'm taking this out of your hands because you've repeatedly done absolutely nothing. And, 6 months ago when he was starting to talk about these, even 9 months ago when he started saying things about Greenland, the one thing that I would say, I think has been taught to us through successive Trump administrations is if he starts to mention something, he's not kidding. So again, F around and find out. So now we're at a sticking point. It's just whether or not European nations, NATO-led nations, will decide that, actually, wait, he's right. We need to do something and we need to move fast. Now, I'm sure this is a guy who likes to make a deal. If these guys got together, showed up at Davos and said, OK, fine, we realize we have a problem and we are serious about it. What can we do? I'm sure this is a president that would be amenable to that. But again, month after month after month, he says something and they play like he's kidding.
I mean, part of the thing, though, with all of this is, and you've got to understand it, I guess, from the perspective of Europeans and indeed people here in the UK, is the idea that now it's like we're living in Trump's world. And what Trump wants.
Were they confused about that?
Well, yeah, but what?
How could they be confused about that?
Well, that might be great if you're an American. It's not good if you're anybody else.
Well, I live in London and I pay taxes here, so I see it from this perspective as well. But again, This is a president who says, you've got a real problem and you failed to address it, so I'm going to address it for you. So, I mean, is Keir Starmer going to do anything about securing the Arctic? Are European leaders going to, get off their bums and do that, tomorrow? That's the most important thing. No, they're much more worried about, economic systems that don't work. The three major European economies are in the toilet. They've got their own problems at home. They have their own voter base that are very angry because their social systems are failing, and they're failing to fund them. So, unfortunately, he realizes that Europe has their eye off the ball, which is securing the Western Hemisphere. So he's going to do it for them.
Well, we've always believed we have a special relationship.
You do. Don't ruin it.
Rob, we have some amusing viewers. Rob has just been in touch saying, tell your guest I'm coming to take over her house. It's OK, she can live in the shed.
It's pink, so I don't know if he'll want it.
If she has no choice, would she agree that's OK?
Well, would I be secure in that house?
Well, in the shed.
Could I continue living in the shed behind the house?
But that's what a lot of people are saying. If Donald Trump thinks he can just take over Greenland because that's what he wants to do and he's strong enough to do it, where next?
Yeah. It's a good question. Probably somewhere in the southern hemisphere.
But then doesn't he start to look as much of a land grabber as Putin?
I think he's looking at this from a real-world perspective. Europe has now for months, been saying that, this war in Europe is coming to us. It's coming to our doorstep. We have to prepare for it. And that's as a direct result of, remember, when we were sitting there in 2021, I had just interviewed Putin. We were all sitting there thinking, he's not going to do this. It's bad for the economy. Why would anyone do this? It makes absolutely no sense. And yet he did it anyway. So I think that, Donald Trump looks at this from a real-world perspective and says he's going to do this. The Chinese are going to move and expand their influence, since they're already doing it in Africa and elsewhere. And we need to secure what is ours. And at the end of the day, this is not the president of the world. This is the president of the United States. And his job, at the end of the day, is to secure the United States for Americans. It's what he's done with these ICE raids and with immigration. It's what he's done with tariffs. And that's something that he's going to continue to do.
OK.
Rightly or wrongly.
Good to see you this morning.
Interesting that you said that at the end.
Wonderful to see you both.
Thank you
Albert, it's
very
interesting.
much.
Keep your thoughts coming through thick and fast, actually.
My goodness.
gbnews.com/your say.
Meanwhile, chaos here at home. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch has described Robert Jenrick as a pastiche right-winger who had nothing to say about world affairs.
Well, this comes as she vowed to end the psychodrama after his shock defection to Reform.
Meanwhile, the Mail on Sunday is reporting today that an allegedly leaked briefing memo advised Robert Jenrick to style himself as the new sheriff in town.
Well, should we talk to the former Lord Chancellor, Sir Robert Buckland, who joins us now? It's great to see you this morning. Viewing this from a bit more of a back seat than you've been used to over recent years, what do you make of it all?
Well, being out of it gives me, I think, a bit more perspective. And I have to say, looking in on the Westminster Village, you've got to say, really, is this important stuff? Bearing in mind what we've just been talking about, China will be, their hearts will be leaping about Taiwan probably today, because if the world is to go into spheres of influence, then it gives the powerful people like Putin and Xi, license to do what they like. But coming back to home, I think a lot of people have said, this is a pivotal moment, in right-wing politics. Hold on a bit. One guy who didn't get the leadership of a political party has now decided to jump ship. I think for most people out there in a rather foggy January, doing their tax returns and working out, how to pay for things, I don't think that this story is going to loom that large. I do think that it's given Kemi Badenoch a real chance to stamp her authority on the party. She showed decisive leadership this week, and I think she emerges really well from it. I don't think Robert Jenrick emerges well at all. Nigel Farage is probably feeling quite pleased that he's now got a 6th MP, which, by my calculation, gives him a bit more of a footing in Parliament in terms of asking questions, getting funding, and having a status in Parliament that perhaps they didn't have before. So don't underestimate that. But, this idea that it's a fight for the right. Reform, let's be honest, Reform is getting support from Conservatives, but it's getting support from Labour voters and, importantly, people who've never voted before. So the idea that there's some sort of, fight for the right here, I think, is misconceived. I look at Reform and I think, gosh, some of their policies are really quite left-wing. And they're taking policies from all over the political spectrum. And perhaps we need to ask ourselves the question, is the term right and left redundant? Are we actually looking at a different type of politics anyway. And that begs the question about what is happening in the Labour Party, which is arguably more important because they're the government, you know, although they're not showing very little sign of having a plan or being able to govern. And they're infighting about who's going to be the next Prime Minister. That's probably more important, I think, for people than the parlour game that we've seen in the last few days within Reform.
That's why many of us are confounded as to why they haven't, for the moment, just sat back and enjoyed the chaos of the other parties. But they seem to have added to their own chaos today by briefing against, for instance, Wes Streeting.
And it's extraordinary how inept this government is at basic politics. You know, when your enemies are making a mistake, you don't intervene, you don't interrupt, you let them get on with it. And yet we see, loose tongues once again. And these are, lobby journalists aren't just reporting chit-chat. They are absolutely reporting what they're told by people in authority. And you've got to ask yourself, what on earth is going on? Haven't they got enough to do to sort out NHS backlogs? Have they got enough to do to try and get our stuttering economy working again and get more people into work? I'm sitting here and the job market is getting worse. People aren't feeling better off. It's a difficult time for many, many people. And yet this government seems to be more obsessed with who's going to get the top job. It's not a good signal to be sending at this time. And they really need to get their house in order quickly, or they will be turfed out, and deservedly so.
But, I mean, look, it seems pretty chaotic this week. It's quite sort of old-fashioned pantomime in politics this week, which has been quite entertaining. Let's be honest, for those of us who pay attention. It's nothing compared to what we're going to see on May the 8th, is it?
Well, that's right. I think that's the important political moment when we've got elections, real elections in Scotland and Wales, and a lot of local government authorities, not as many as there should be, because stupidly and wrongly the government are allowing councils to dodge the electorate by delaying elections. I think that's really, really bad, a bad signal. But in those councils that are having elections, there will be some very important political moments. And, clearly, if Reform do well, they're going to go into the summer with a spring in their step. But the general election, I think, isn't now going to be until the spring, summer of 2029, if Labour don't want to squander this big majority and hang on. So that's still 3 years away. And, I think Harold Wilson said a week is a long time in politics. 3 years is an eon. And that's why I think the events of this week in Reform will fade into the background. Let's actually see what the issues are in a couple of years' time. I suspect that it still will be the economy. And that will be on people's minds. And the next election will probably be fought on a very different basis from the last one. Political parties make a mistake if they try and fight the next election on the issues of 2020, 5 years before. And that's why Kemi Badenoch has got a job here to make sure that the policies the Conservatives are bringing forward are well thought out. They're part of a plan. There's really good signs at the moment. I like the stamp duty proposals. I think protecting kids from social media, that is absolutely the sort of approach I want to see the party taking. And I'm optimistic now that with her authority stamped on the Tory party and a sense of unity, we can actually, the years ahead, show that we deserve and are ready for government, but accept the fact that we took a hell of a beating in 24 and do it in a spirit of humility and to seek to earn the right to govern again. That's certainly, from my perspective, out of Westminster, way out of Westminster, what I'm picking up from everybody I talk to, because I'm still fascinated by politics, still involved, but enjoying the perspective, I think, that not being
able to sit back.
Yes,
I'll bet.
Yes. I bet the grey hairs are coming through at a slower rate.
They would have.
From all of that
You're
chaos.
Absolutely right. I think my health has definitely improved since I've left frontline politics.
Yeah, I bet it has. So, Robert, really good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I always think it's fascinating when you talk to people on the front line when they've taken that step back, because they can suddenly say what they wanted to say but couldn't say before.
And, they all want the top job. But if you look at recent prime ministers, certainly ones who've been in for quite a while, my God, it ages you.
Oh, it does, yeah.
You think right back, Tony Blair, Margaret Thatcher, Gordon Brown, it really ages you, that job. It must be very, very tough.
I don't know why anyone would want it, really.
No,
but, you know,
but they all do, don't they?
Not from a different cloth, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right, it is coming up to 19 minutes past 8, and it's time for the weather with Honor.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Quite a grey and murky start to the day, some fog rather slow to clear in places, and quite a cloudy Sunday on offer, some spells of rain, though we are likely to see a little bit of brightness later. Spells of rain across southwest England, southern parts of Wales. This will slowly shift its way northwards, pushing into central and northern parts of England through today. Perhaps a little bit brighter across the far north of Scotland, Northern Ireland, also parts of Sussex and Kent and East Anglia, maybe even some sunshine later on, but for most it's going to be quite a cloudy and dull day, feeling quite chilly under the cloud too, but highs reaching around 11 degrees Celsius in the southeast. Now, to finish off the day, remaining fairly similar, there's still going to be quite a lot of cloud around, some low cloud, perhaps even some fog, also some spells of rain still across parts of Scotland, though a little clearer across the far north. That's where temperatures are going to be dipping away, so once again another frost and possible icy stretches here. A few more clearer skies across Northern Ireland, but a very different story elsewhere across England and Wales. Still very cloudy with some spells of rain, and it's likely we'll see a return of some foggy conditions through the overnight period. Also some spells of rain still across England and Wales. This will fizzle away through the overnight period, and then another band of rain starting to push into Northern Ireland through the early hours of Monday. Now we'll see a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, and while we see those clear skies persist, that's where it's going to be turning chilly, dipping below freezing across parts of Scotland, so widespread frost here, but for many towns and cities remaining around the mid-single figures. Now for the start of the new working week, once again a very cloudy and grey picture. Some fog slow to clear through the course of the morning, some slight drizzly outbreaks across England and Wales, with the most persistent rain across parts of Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland. A little bit breezy here at times too. Temperatures still rather mild across the south, highs reaching around 9 to 10 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good for your mental health, able to chat to other men about things that are bothering you, or just have a natter.
The club meets apparently at an Essex pub at 8 o'clock every Sunday, so they should be meeting now. We've sent our reporter down there to see what it's all about.
Yes.
She's GB News reporter Bethany Elsey, and I think she's there. Bethany, a very good morning to you. What's going on?
Good morning to you both. Good morning to you both, and you're absolutely right. Dozens of people have turned out here in Brentwood for this countryside walk to support men's mental health. It is, of course, all set up by the famous entrepreneur Thomas Skinner, who joins me now.
And my lovely mate Rob.
and Rob Heisey, who is a therapist. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank
Thomas,
you.
why have you set up this event?
I just feel like, look, listen, like, us blokes don't talk to each other enough. We're always going to work, grafting, looking after the family, but we never talk about us, never look after us. And there ain't nothing out there really around this way for people to sit down, have a little chat, have a cup of tea, enjoy the countryside, just blokes supporting blokes. That's all it's about, you know what I mean? Nice and early Sunday morning, before you do bits and pieces, and we can relax.
And Thomas, it's the second event of its kind. The first was last Sunday. You had about 80 people turn out now. There's dozens more here today. It's a real sense of community here.
Yeah, do you know what's lovely is, Shook everyone's hand so far this morning. People have come from all over, not just from around here. People have come from Bethnal Green, people have come from Dartford. One guy's come from Canterbury. And obviously all the locals have turned up too. We've got just over 80 people. I think we're going to get more than 100 today. And look, hopefully it grows. The more the merrier, yeah? All we are, we just want to look after each other, put our arms around each other and have a nice walk and just say, you know what, it's all right.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Let's take you out of the world, should we?
Right.
Out of the solar system.
Yeah.
Because...
It's all about Voyager, isn't
yes.
it?
Voyager 1 is about to hit a remarkable milestone.
Yeah, come November this year, it's a probe, of course, and it will become the first man-made anything to reach 1 light day from Earth. That's a staggering 16 billion miles away. Earlier, we spoke to space expert Andy Lowndes.
It puts everything into perspective a little bit, really. 2 spacecraft launched in 1977, of course, Voyagers 1 and 2. Voyager 1 flying past Jupiter and then Saturn before taking an angle shot away from the solar system, heading outwards. And Voyager 2 went on to do Uranus and Neptune as well. But Voyager 1 in 1990 had an interesting opportunity, which was the idea of the brilliant late Carl Sagan, who said it was a great opportunity for a space probe to turn back and take a last picture of the Earth. Scientifically, not of great importance because it can't make any resolution out. But from the perspective of humanity, it would be a very important picture. And when the picture was taken, and there it is, there's the pale blue dot, in a sunlight glinting as well, dust glinting from the sun's light as well. So we're actually caught in a dust area, which is quite amazing. And it's the thing that Carl Sagan tried to point out to us. Look at that little dot. It's less than a pixel across. It's not very much at all. Everything that there's ever been on this planet, the billions of lives, every ruler, every person you ever loved, everything is in that dot. That's it. It's quite an amazing image to put life in perspective of where we are, who we are, and where we fit in the universe itself. And considering what's going on down here, I think it's quite an important image to ground ourselves a little bit.
I remember when they were talking about launching it, and they were going to put a gold, amongst many other things, they put a gold disc, didn't they, on one of the Voyagers? Have you got it?
On both of them. They put a gold disc which contains a great deal of information, audio recordings, pictures, and what's remarkable about this, of course, it is a record. This, what you're seeing at the top here, is the cover, but if we take the cover off, there's a record underneath it, and there's instructions on it, which is a stylus of how to play a record. And from that, you'll get the data out. Very low tech by modern standards, but it's interesting to think that this gold-covered record was sent into space, which I always think it's an amazing thing, because the 2 spacecraft which have got these discs on, they're not going to come close to another star, and that's even going to be a light 1.5 light years away from the stars, the different stars they get to, and that's going to be in 40,000 years' time. And of course, in 40,000 years' time, there may be no human race down here, and therefore the 2 Voyager spacecraft may carry the last remnants of what was the human species on this planet. Admittedly, there's material, for instance, on Pioneers, but they only have plaques, and the New Horizons does have some encoded data on a small disk. But the Voyagers are the ones which are going beyond first. And so it'll be interesting to think that they carry the only reminder of humanity, which I find quite remarkable. And that actually makes me focus more down here on Earth.
We both love our space talk, and we were just reminding each other that's very like an episode of Star Trek, isn't it? Where they come across some sort of a probe from an unknown civilization, and it tells you the story of their civilization, and it's very, very poignant, lovely. But
also oddly depressing.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in 40,000
If
years'
that's
time,
it.
if any little green men or whatever they are find the Voyager probe, then what will they think of us? There's the Voyager. It originally, as Andy was saying, it was just going to look around Saturn and Jupiter, I think. And then the other Voyager, which was sent off just a few days later, had the other planets to get to. And there's the gold disc with all these weird recordings on it of everything from the sound of our seas crashing on the beach and everything like that. And then it was Carl Sagan, the very famous scientist, who managed to persuade NASA to turn the camera around as Voyager 1 was leaving the solar system. He said, why don't we just turn the camera around and see if we can see Earth? And originally they said no, but in the end he persuaded them. And on February the 14th, so it's Valentine's Day, in 1990, Voyager turned its cameras round and took the amazing picture we now call the pale blue dot, which shows where we are in the universe, which is right bang in the middle of almost nothingness. Yeah, incredible picture.
It is. It's very, very scary, actually.
Why is it scary?
Well, it's scary when you, and we don't often do it, unless you're sort of geeks like us. But when you actually place yourself in the idea of the vastness of the universe and the fact that you think, I mean, the size of our galaxy is enormous. And it's going to take 40,000 years for Voyager to even get close to the nearest star, and that's travelling at 38,000 miles an hour.
It's unbelievable distances.
And it's going to take 40,000 years. And you think, when you look up in the night sky and you think, oh, look at all these lovely stars, half of them aren't stars.
No, they're dead already.
They're galaxies. But no, they're galaxies.
Yes, and they may not be there anymore.
No.
You're looking back in time when you look up at the stars. But that tiny, if you've got a big enough television to be able to see that, there's a tiny little pale blue dot right bang in the middle of that photograph. And that is us. And that is a remarkable picture. It is a better picture, really, even though it hardly looks anything. It's a better picture than Earthrise that was taken by Apollo 8, even though that was a most
Beautiful
remarkable
shot.
picture.
Yeah.
But that is wonderful. You know Jodrell Bank, the famous telescope?
Yes.
Up there, they have this wonderful space centre. I mean, if you go up there, it's really worth going to. They have a music festival every year now, and they often take the big Jodrell Bank telescope and they shine wonderful images on it, and it's real proper music festival. They call it the Pale Blue Dot Festival.
Ah.
It's the Blue Dot Festival. And lovely people up in Jodrell Bank. Hello, if you're watching.
Well, that's worth doing. I just love Jodrell Bank because obviously that's where Tom Baker fell off the top.
It is, that's right. And they point that out.
Oh, do they?
They say, that's where Doctor Who fell off, you know. So,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. Wonderful, wonderful place.
If we can't start talking about Doctor Who or sci-fi too much, Anne, because we'll never stop.
No, true.
And we need to tell people about the chance that you're down to about 10 days now if you want to win £85,000 in cold, hard, tax-free cash. If you want to, here's how you enter.
There's only 2 weeks left to ensure you're in the draw to win our biggest cash prize so far. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane from Manchester and I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. It is real and it does happen to everyday people like myself, and that one text has just made my life 100% better.
But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, still to come, British qualifier in the tennis. Arthur Ferry shocks the crowd at the Australian Open. Ada McGee will tell us all about it. That's next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here It's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things up the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh no, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Aidan's here with the sport, 8:36. We talk tennis.
Why not? Yeah, exactly. It is the first Grand Slam of the year at Melbourne Park in Australia. It was the one that's commonly won by Novak Djokovic, but it's been Jannik Sinner in recent years. He's been the man dominating it. He'll be looking to win it again. Remember, last year he won it, and then he served his doping ban immediately afterwards. It was pre-agreed, wasn't it, between the two slams, which I thought would set a very dangerous precedent, actually.
Just rather.
Nonetheless, he won it, and then he went on to win Wimbledon later in the year. He'll be among the main contenders this time, looking to win it for a third time in a row. Carlos Alcaraz.
Djokovic will want to win it very badly this year.
I think this will be his last attempt
Chance,
at it. I really do. But look, he's already won to 11, 12.
Yeah, but he wants that extra one now.
Yes, he does. He wants to make it 25. He does, and that put him out in front in the men's and the women's section. Actually puts him ahead of Margaret Court, I think, who's tied with him on 24, who we established about last year, didn't we? We were chatting. We worked out she was a Christian preacher somewhere, didn't we?
That's right, yes.
In the States. Still alive. Still alive, exactly. So, but look, there's been a huge upset overnight because remember the name Arthur Ferry. Does it ring any bells?
No, don't know the name.
He's a British-French player, ranked number 185 in the world, 23 years old. He's beaten the Italian, Caboli, Flavio Caboli, wwho is 20th seed.
So did he go in on a wild card?
Yeah, no, he went on a qualifier.
A qualifier?
Qualifier, so he had to qualify, but he beat him in 3 sets. So he swatted him aside. Not exactly a rags to riches story. His mother, Olivia, was an ex-pro worked at the LTA. His father owns the French football club Lorient, who are mid-table in a league only. It couldn't be more tennis, could it? But he is based in Wimbledon. He lives there. So well done to him. And Emma Raducanu's been complaining a bit about the schedule. It's a punishing schedule. I mean, 3 years ago, Andy Murray finished a match at 4:05
Yes, I remember.
in the morning. Do you remember that? And they haven't done much to alleviate that schedule on the players.
Better if she didn't moan, though.
I know, but you know what? She's going into a tournament for the first time in a couple of years now with a seed, as a seed. She's number 28 seed in the tournament. There have been signs of life in the last year or so, signs that she's getting focused. She's stopped changing her coach every 5 minutes, and she's gaining the points, which should, in theory, give us slightly easier draws earlier on. And Cam Norrie is in action at the moment against Benjamin Bonzai of Australia, but he's won the first set 6-love. So he's going pretty well. Alcaraz playing today as well against Adam Walton. I just think it's difficult to see beyond Alcaraz and Sinner. The only danger is that although it's great to have a dominant force, two dominant forces in any sport,
you've got to shake it up at some point.
You've got to shake it up. But do you go back to the future? Is Djokovic the man to shake it up? Because a few years ago he was out.
He'll be wanting to. That's what he'll be.
Remember that? It was 4 years ago since we discussed our first week on this channel. Us three. We discussed Djokovic's failure to get into Australia. Do you remember that? Because of the COVID. Because of the COVID vaccine passport. Yeah, exactly. So, look, it should be a decent event. I do think tennis is in a little bit of trouble. 2 stars in the men's. Iga Swiatek hoping to win the career Grand Slam on the women's section as well. But I just think that if these two, then there needs to be a couple more joining those two. Yeah. At the front of the men's game, particularly. And let's hope that, well, Jack Draper's not there. He's injured. Again, that's hugely disappointing because he's made progress in the last 18 months, but he is proving himself a little bit injury-prone. And I hope he gets back to full fitness later on. He posted that video, didn't he, last month, saying he's going to be out because he's got a troublesome elbow injury. So let's hope for a good tournament, and we'll update you throughout the week.
Is it tennis elbow?
He probably is, yeah.
Probably is.
Very much so.
What about the football?
Man United, let's touch on them. It seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? But they beat Manchester United. Beat Manchester City yesterday in the Manc Derby at Old Trafford. They weren't expected to win, but Michael Carrick, go on.
Well, I was going to say, it's a tough one for Carrick to jump in on, isn't it?
Hugely. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to win. City won, not exactly a crest of a wave, but they signed 2 players who are going to be there for the long term. Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth and Mark Gurhey from Crystal Palace, who's going to arrive quite soon, causing all the problems at the Palace that we talked about yesterday. But let's hear from Carrick yesterday. He struck an upbeat tone after that win against City.
The boys were in a good place. We were quite happy with the days, how we prepared for it emotionally, where the boys were, the state they were at, leaving the changing room. So I was quite happy with that leading into the game. But then, listen, City are an unbelievable team with talent, and they can rotate and change things. So there's a plan, and then you've got to go plan B and C and work around it. So you never really know how the game's going to go. But for it to pan out like that, the boys were fantastic today, I have to say, in so many ways. And to manage it emotionally with the information we've given them and pulling it together, yeah, it was pretty good.
They were so much better yesterday, Manchester United. The formation was changed. They brought Kobbie Mainoo back in. He'd been frozen out under Ruben Amorim. They attacked. Lots of fans online were saying this is the first time we've seen United attack like this. And best of all, briefly yesterday, they went into the top 4. Now, if they were to stay there, obviously results later on in the day meant they dropped out. But there's a long way to go. They could easily get into the top 4. And if they got there, that wipes out a lot of their financial problems that they have, because it's a cash cow, Man United. But at the moment, it's not producing the money they need, because it's always said that you can't stay the biggest club in the world forever and ever. You've got to start winning trophies at some point, big trophies. They haven't won a Premier League since 2011 or a Champions League since 2008, so they really need to address that if possible. And there are just signs of hope yesterday for the Man United faithful, of which there are hundreds of millions of them around the world, that maybe they'd be stepping in the right direction under this manager.
All right. We shall see. Aidan, thank you very much indeed.
Good to see you this weekend.
Yep, absolutely. Still to come, the Green Party are proposing free bus passes for under 22s. Interesting thought. We'll be looking through the papers, that and more stories with Duncan Barks and Emma Wolfe. First of all, though, if you fancy a bit of summer sunshine, here's where to go.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Harry continues to impact parts of the Mediterranean, bringing in some wet and windy weather here. And actually, there's not a lot of sunshine to go around across parts of Europe. The best of the brightness across central and southern parts of Spain. Here's Storm Harry across the central Mediterranean, bringing in some strong winds, some heavy rain, and at times some thundery conditions. Perhaps a little bit brighter at times across parts of Greece. An improvement in conditions into next week, and temperatures widely in the mid-teens.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
More than 10 people have had to be rescued after a huge sinkhole opened in a canal in Shropshire, leaving several narrowboats stranded.
Yes, 3 boats have been affected by the incident, with at least 2 swallowed by the sinkhole, which is approximately 50 by 50 metres in size.
Extraordinary. Well, joining us with the story is Paul Smith-Story, who's on a canal boat 3 boats away from this sinkhole. Paul, this sort of thing doesn't really happen very often, does it?
It doesn't. There was a huge breach on the Bridgewater Canal last year, but this is the first time we've actually seen boats at the bottom of the breach. It was quite scary to witness, to be honest.
So how close are you? What can you see from where you are?
Yeah, well, we're about 90 metres away from where the sinkhole started. We got woke up at 4:20 this morning. There was crashing on the boat because the boat was listing. We got off, and a friend of ours told us that there was this sinkhole that had appeared and that there was a boat about to drop into it. And that was, when we got there, the boat was already in the bottom of this sinkhole. The rush of water was incredible. It just sounded like a huge waterfall. Luckily, those boaters got out, and we actually know the chap whose first boat went in. We're just so thankful that he got out in time with his dog.
Gosh, Paul, just explain what we're seeing on our screens right now. So the narrow boat there has come out of the water that we see on the left, and it's sort of, has it rolled over and down into the sinkhole? What's going on?
That's the actual line where the red clay is the line of the canal. Just where those 3 trees are to the left is a field that's flooded, and I think that's where the water's escaped from the canal, and it's just flooded the field to the left of that image. It was really scary.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's 8:46 in Duncan Barnes and Emma Wolfe are taking us through the papers. Let's start with a bit of Greenland, should we, Emma? What do you make of it?
I mean,
all?
exactly.
Which bit of Greenland?
We know the detail-ish now, and really it comes down to, is he bluffing? Does Trump really mean this? Has he lost the plot completely? Is this just a way of sort of forcing, NATO allies to the table to talk about it, because he does that as well? Or are these just these tariffs that don't actually materialise? I think a lot of people who've supported him up till now, myself included, actually saying this is basically a step too far. But what's really interesting is the front page of The Telegraph has this brilliant column. John Bolton's been on fire recently. Really interesting column by John Bolton. If you're bored of all the other Greenland coverage, read that column, because he says this is the worst move of Trump's presidency. He said this is the most dangerous and destructive act of his 5 years, obviously broken up, 5 years as president. He shows an ignorance of history. He shows incoherence and rambling on his social media posts. If you look at Trump's statement on Truth Social, it is quite incoherent and rambling. It is a rant.
Isn't it?
And I think that's the tenor, the tone that a lot of people are getting from this is actually this is a step too far.
We talked about this
Bullying.
last time. I talked about blackmail, and you can argue it is a form of blackmail. But you also made the point, Emma, as well, when we were chatting about it, that, you know, he is a blowhard, isn't he? He fires almost this outrageous shot to begin with as part of the negotiations of the deal, and he does have a track record for that. And if you read the book that he allegedly wrote, The Art of the Deal, there is example after example after example that he goes in all guns blazing because that's the good negotiation tactic, and then he gently pulls it back and things start to move and there is a compromise that's reached. But ultimately, if you strip it down, most people will look at this where you've just got this guy on the world stage, some people might say a bully, who's just going, well, if you don't agree with this, I'm going to do this to your country. And you've got to remember, in the United Kingdom, his poll ratings are really low. You know, the British people are not a fan of Trump, which also explains why Starmer and Badenoch and also Nigel Farage politically are coming out against this, because they realise the majority of people in this country...
Did you hear our guest earlier on? I mean, you know, this is Trump's world. Of course it is. Where have you been living?
And that's what you do. You walk in, you say, I want 10 billion, you walk out. And then you leave it on the table, and then you see what happens. My worry with Trump, though, is that there are so many things going on right now, and he sort of loses interest, and then he's on to the next thing. And what happened with pursuing the deal with Putin and Zelensky? You know what?
But this is not you know, this is the thing. It's not a real estate deal, this. Well, you could argue it is in one form. But, you know, this is about people. You know, this is about the people of Greenland. And ultimately, deciding who owns Greenland really should be down to the people who live there. It's about self-determination, right? It's not about another country saying, I want you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't just go around saying, I'm going to buy you. It's just not the way things get done.
Well, no, but maybe it gets people around a negotiating table.
But it fuels this narrative that people love about, oh, Trump's just a bully, he's just a, you know, he's crazy, he's a good, you know, and I think it's actually not helpful to himself.
It's hard to argue against that rule, isn't it, or that view. But equally, someone on social media in the last hour contacted GB News and also me, just going, he's trying to protect the West. Which bit do you not understand?
Well, who would you rather owned Greenland?
Well, well, that's the point.
Who would you rather ran the UK?
Maybe it's the Green Party.
Oh, no.
Because the Sunday Telegraph, no, if they get in, if they get in, which is a big if, it's got to be said, free bus travel for under 22s.
This is an interesting story. So this is centring around the elections on the 7th of May.
Oh, right,
arguing that if they get some councillors, they might be in a position to influence free bus travel. Now, first off, it's not free. Ultimately, taxpayers pay for it one way or the other. So let's get rid of this idea that this stuff is free. But he's making an interesting point. He's saying that if you are a younger person, so someone under the age of 22, and your prospects ain't great and you don't have a car or whatever, it would be a real boost for them if they were able to ride a bus free of charge to get to a job or whatever. I think that the major omission here, I don't know when Zach last went on a bus, but if you live in a rural area, OK, you may well want a bar job in the nearest town or city, OK? These buses, after about 6 o'clock at night, won't be running. You certainly won't be able to get back from your shift or whatever. But it's an interesting idea, and he makes the point that if they get some decent support on the elections on the 7th of May, they may well look at this. The other bit, which always fascinates me of anything the Green Party seem to say, is they've not worked out the finances. It's back of an envelope, which is like, it'll pay for itself because it will boost the economy. All right, Zach, you've answered the financial question.
Yeah,
you know, and it's
not the detail we need.
Show us your workings out.
Yes. Also, most of the under-22s I know in London live in Ubers with their takeaway coffees and their Deliveroos and their all sorts. So, you know, that's why they can't afford buses. That's a bit mean,
You'll be upsetting all of the Zoomers.
No under-22s will be... Maybe they will. Maybe they will be angry with me and hate me and watching right now.
You never know. Right, should we look at... we love a trigger warning.
Oh, dearie me. Well, first of all, we're talking about Frankenstein. But can I just double-check that all our viewers know who Frankenstein is? Because this is the big myth. Who's Frankenstein?
Well, Frankenstein is the professor.
Good.
Yes.
Frankenstein is the student, the crazy student.
The monster.
Right, everybody sees the monster with the bolt through his jaw and says, Frankenstein. No, Victor Frankenstein is the student who created this...
Frankenstein's monster.
Sentient being who never was named, Frankenstein's monster, basically, out of body parts. He's absolutely sick, and then he was absolutely revolted by what he had created. Anyway, the University of Glasgow, on a literature course, on a course English literature critical reading course has slapped on, guess what, trigger warning.
Why?
On Frankenstein, which, by the way, is a brilliant book. Mary Shelley wrote it.
Mary Shelley.
So
really
good.
frightening.
She was like 18 when she wrote it. I think they were having a competition, a bunch of them at Lake Geneva. Anyway, it's an amazing, amazing book. It contains themes of servitude, abuse and violence.
Do you know what?
So
I'm sick
students
to death
beware.
of trigger warnings, and I think most of us around this table are, unless I've misjudged the mood. OK, life is full of trigger warnings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Life, real life,
Yes.
outside of university campuses and the classroom is full of stuff that's going to trigger you. So don't start whacking trigger warnings on a bit of literature. Grow up.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Nuts.
Maybe they should put that on a wedding certificate.
What's going to be next?
May contain nudity.
Everything, yeah.
Or a kiss.
Or a kiss. Or
Shocking kiss.
Politics.
I mean, if you're studying a Gothic novel... And you're worried about scenes of violence. I mean, yes, this is what Frankenstein is known for.
There'll be a trigger warning on Thomas the Tank Engine next. I mean, once you start this process, there's no way of stopping it. May contain trains. You might not like trains. They can be noisy. Bit of steam, smoke, trigger warning.
But you can't protect people from life. You know, all sorts of unexpected.
But just in case you've ever been seduced by any of the
happen.
really bad B movies that were made in Frankenstein's name, the original novel is unbelievable.
So good.
As is Dracula, the novel.
Yeah.
Oh, so frightening and really good.
Bram Stoker, yes. Reread.
Right. Thank you both. It's been lovely to see you this morning. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Quite a grey and murky start to the day, some fog rather slow to clear in places, and quite a cloudy Sunday on offer, some spells of rain, though we are likely to see a little bit of brightness later. Spells of rain across southwest England, southern parts of Wales. This will slowly shift its way northwards, pushing into central and northern parts of England through today. Perhaps a little bit brighter across the far north of Scotland, Northern Ireland, also parts of Sussex and Kent and East Anglia, maybe even some sunshine later on, but for most it's going to be quite a cloudy and dull day, feeling quite chilly under the cloud too, but highs reaching around 11 degrees Celsius in the southeast. Now, to finish off the day, remaining fairly similar, there's still going to be quite a lot of cloud around, some low cloud, perhaps even some fog, also some spells of rain still across parts of Scotland, though a little clearer across the far north. That's where temperatures are going to be dipping away, so once again, another frost and possible icy stretches here. A few more clearer skies across Northern Ireland, but a very different story elsewhere across England and Wales. Still very cloudy with some spells of rain, and it's likely we'll see a return of some foggy conditions through the overnight period. Also some spells of rain still across England and Wales. This will fizzle away through the overnight period, and then another band of rain starting to push into Northern Ireland through the early hours of Monday. Now we'll see a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, and where we see those clear skies persist, that's where it's going to be turning chilly, dipping below freezing across parts of Scotland, so widespread frost here, but for many towns and cities remaining around the mid-single figures. Now, for the start of the new working week, once again a very cloudy and grey picture. Some fog slow to clear through the course of the morning. Some slight drizzly outbreaks across England and Wales, with the most persistent rain across parts of Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland. A little bit breezy here at times too. Temperatures still rather mild across the south, highs reaching around 9 to 10 degrees Celsius.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane. I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. Oh, definitely please enter. It is real, and that one text has just made my life 100% better.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
That you finally got your MBE. Well done, sir.
Absolutely, and thank you very much indeed. Yeah, I'm so honoured, to get it. I could not believe it when I got the letter saying, they were going to honour me with it. I can't wait to go and collect it now.
And Paul, no doubt when you go and meet His Majesty, you might have some kind of funny quip to say to him. What are you going to say to me, to Your Majesty?
Well, I might say, not from you to me, hopefully. It depends who it is, doesn't it, as well? I might be stum. Sometimes I can't say things much, but who knows? I mean, I'm just really looking forward to collecting it. It's I feel so honoured.
And Paul, of course, as well as services to comedy, which this wasn't for, though heaven knows it perhaps should have been, this was for services, your recognition of your fundraising for Marie Curie for cancer, of course, because your brother Barry sadly passed away of bone cancer. And since that time, you kind of made it one of your missions to raise awareness, and that is why the King has given you the nod. Tell us about your charity work.
Well, both Barry and I were both ambassadors for Marie Curie for about 6-7 years before Barry passed away. It was just such a fabulous thing. You know so many people that have been looked after by Marie Curie in the later years. That's obviously because of the age we are, getting to that sort of age. Lots of our friends and family are passing away. And the Marie Curie, they just everything. When my father-in-law passed away, he was on what you say his deathbed. And a Marie Curie nurse sat up with my wife all night long. She didn't have to, but they sat there for like 7 or 8 hours with her. It was they're just wonderful people. They do a lot more than people realise they do.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister condemns Donald Trump after he slaps a 10% tariff on Britain.
And that move comes amid a broader White House crackdown on European countries that are resisting Washington's control over Greenland.
Trump says it's a security necessity. Keir Starmer says it's completely wrong. So could it mark the beginning of a deeper rift between us?
Much chance of being our next Prime Minister is Zach Polanski. It's not going to happen. The choice is Starmer, or goodness knows who else, or Nigel.
Well, that, of course, Robert Jenrick, and the Tory leader Kemi Badenoch has slammed him as a pastiche right-winger, and she's vowed to end the Tory psychodrama after his shock defection. Earlier, we spoke to former Lord Chancellor Sir Robert Buckland.
Do you think that it's given Kemi Badenoch a real chance to stamp her authority on the party? And she showed decisive leadership this week, and I think she emerges really well from it.
Well, it's not all quiet for the government either. Is there a civil war afoot? Allies of the Health Secretary accusing Number 10 of planning a briefing war against him.
Meanwhile, ministers are warning that they're ready to quit amid plans to scrap jury trials. How many more could? And what does this mean for the Prime Minister?
Hello there, good morning. Quite a foggy start to the day. Some of this fog could be slow to clear in places. Stay tuned to find out where we'll see the best of the brightness.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Ann Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I was just checking the what's-its, your says.
The what's-its.
There you go, the what's-its.
Yeah.
Here we go. Janice says you couldn't make it up. Trigger warnings on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. If this is for young people, how are they going to vote and things at 16 if there are trigger warnings on everyday life?
There'll be trigger warnings on the polling booth as you go in.
Yeah.
Warning, your vote could actually mean something.
Or possibly not.
Or not, yeah.
Or maybe you should get a trigger warning so you may not be able to vote next time round in the local elections.
True.
Anyway, right. Anyway, Donald Trump plans to hit us, the UK, also Denmark and other European countries with a 10% tariff on goods exported to the US. And it could happen in the next few weeks.
In a Truth Social post, which went on for a long time, Trump said the tariffs are going to stay in place until a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland.
He went on to say failure to reach a deal could see tariffs hit 25% by June.
Well, in response, the Prime Minister has said the move is completely wrong and he's vowed to challenge the US directly over those tariffs.
Well, Camilla Tomlin is here with her show at 9:30 this morning.
Can't think what she's going to talk about today.
No, she joins us from Westminster. I tell you what, a week is a long time in politics, Camilla.
I know. I need to lie down in a darkened room after I do the show today. It's been pretty manic since the news of the Robert Jenrick defection. But let's just look at Greenland. It's almost more embarrassing, isn't it, for Keir Starmer, because he's the one that's cultivated that special relationship, capped off with the red carpet being rolled out last year and that amazing state visit. So to now be slapped with a trade war over Greenland, to be fair, I think the person to be quoted on this is John Bolton, who's written for the Sunday Telegraph today, saying, of all the very balmy things that Trump has done, this tops them all. So we'll have to wait and see how the Prime Minister plans to react to this week. He's tweeted that it should be for the Greenlanders and the Danes to decide their own fate. Some might argue that the same could have been said for the good people of the Chagos Islands until the UK decided to sell them out. So he's slightly in a little bit of a soup here because, of course, he wants to nurture that special relationship. But this is escalating, isn't it? And there are going to be very concerned Labour ministers and backbenchers not wanting Starmer to appear as Blair is, as the US president's poodle on this. So tricky times. And as you've also alluded to, domestically, we've got Wes Streeting and Andy Burnham after his job. We've got Jenrick over in Reform, which, of course, needs to be discussed with all of our guests. So I'll be speaking to the Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, on the Greenland issue and the own problems with her own lack of faith in leadership by some members of her party. And I'll be speaking to Kevin Hollingwraith, the Conservative Party chair, about losing Robert Jenrick. And I'll be speaking to Reform's Layla Cunningham about gaining Robert Jenrick. Now, Layla, who is Reform's candidate to be the next London mayor, going up against Sadiq Khan in 2028, told me last week that Robert Jenrick would not be welcome in Reform because he is emblematic of Tory failure. One wonders how that's now going to work now that he's in Camp Farage.
Yeah, she also said, though, didn't she, when she took on that new role, that she was going to be the new sheriff in town.
Yes.
In London. Well, now it seems Robert Jenrick thinks the same thing.
I do love the expose by the Sunday Times and the Mail on Sunday of this plan to kind of give Robert Jenrick media training in preparation for his defection. So he's advised to say that there's a new sheriff in town. As you say, that's Cunningham's catchphrase, so she's not going to like that. He's advised to tell a few jokes because he's good when he's funny. He's advised to appear like he gets on well with Nigel Farage. I think the question to be asked this weekend is, how much is this about Nigel Farage actually wanting Robert Jenrick in the camp? And how much is it about wanting to punish Kemi Badenoch and the Tories? And I think time will tell as to how this relationship, these Tories in Reform, are actually going to get on in reality. Because, as we all know, Robert Jenrick is a very ambitious man.
Yes, because they were sort of pushed together, really, by Kemi Badenoch suddenly announcing, to everyone's shock, that she'd fired Robert Jenrick, and put both Jenrick and Reform in a position of having to either come to an agreement or not, but just within the space of a few hours.
Yes, exactly. And there was even some rumours, Anne, on that Thursday morning. Had his defection speech been leaked on purpose to twist her arm to fire him, then he could go across to Reform without saying he'd betrayed anyone. I think that might be playing 3D chess a little too far. But yes, he was pushed into that position. But all I'm saying is this alliance... there's a contradiction at the heart of what Nigel Farage is saying, isn't there? On one hand, the Tories broke the country, but I don't mind employing some of the Tories that broke the country to fix the country because we're not experienced enough to fix the country. Talking about the country having a few issues, I'm also going to be speaking to Benedict Rogers about the Chinese super embassy, still set to be green-lighted on Tuesday, despite the Telegraph revealing the unredacted blueprint showing spy dungeons underneath the building, very close to our cables. And I'm going to be speaking to David Bernstein, the former head of the FA, about the Maccabi fan ban, and Craig Guilford, the Chief Constable of West Midlands, walking away, being able to retire rather than having to resign on a full pension.
Yeah, and not only that, Camilla, the Police and Crime Commissioner, Kevin Foster, for the area, saying by retiring with immediate effect, he was acting with honour.
Yes, I can't quite see that, and I'm not sure that the Tel Aviv Maccabi fans are going to see it like that either, or indeed Jews in the UK. So we have lots of questions, as ever, to answer on today's show. Stay tuned, 9:30.
Ooh, it's going to be a fiery one.
How are you going to fit it all in?
No, Camilla, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. As if that wasn't enough, apparently ministers are saying, that's ministers in the present government, they're saying they're ready to quit over the plans to scrap jury trials.
Well, the proposals would be the biggest shake-up to the English courts in a generation, replacing juries with magistrates or judge-only courts.
So with a backlash possibly growing, can we expect more resignations? And what would this mean for the Prime Minister trying to keep everything together?
International human rights lawyer David Haig joins us now. Good to see you, David. I mean, what do you make of this? Is this, if it happened, would it be as bad as people are saying?
Hi, good morning to you both. I think, you know, it's essentially, I think, David Lammy taking a wrecking ball to English justice, if it happens. That's the big thing. And, you know, from a legal perspective, when you look at the Bar Council, the Law Society, the majority of the legal industry is fundamentally against this. So, and it wasn't in the manifesto. So why is it being done? And I think it was a couple of weeks ago, there was a Commons Justice Committee that was talking to Sarah Sackman, who's the Courts Minister, and asking her about the details. And there's even contradictory information coming from David Lammy, unsurprisingly, and then obviously Sarah Sackman as to the modelling behind this, actually what it will save. Now, the reason what they're saying is that some trials trials are listed for 2030. And also, if that's a criminal trial, particularly when it comes to victims and evidence, and the quality of evidence, 5 years is a very long time to wait for that. But is reducing jury trials by effectively half going to fix that? And there's no real modelling that suggests that, or rather the government isn't sharing that. So I think it's very worrying. I mean, jury trials in one form or another, you can argue have been around since the Magna Carta, since 1215. So this is a huge change. And is David Lammy really the person we want to let do that?
Yeah, I mean, can you explain to everybody, constitutionally, why is it such a dramatic change? Why have we always considered it so important that ultimately you're judged by a jury of your peers?
I think it's something that's been there historically. I mean, it's not always been there since the Magna Carta, but it dates back to the Magna Carta, which is 1215, talks about a trial by our peers. And that's something that we used to have a long time ago, also in civil trials. That's long gone, but it is still in the majority, in basically Crown Court trials, so not magistrates. So if you get charged with a criminal offence, effectively you start off in the magistrates, and then you either stay in the magistrates court or you go to the Crown Court. And if you go to the Crown Court, effectively there are jury trials. So that's about 3% roughly. And what they're trying to do is cut that by half. So that will be 1.5%. And I think, you know, it's something that we've always had when it comes to taking your liberty away, that it's not just a judge and the system that judges are appointed in doing that it's actually our peers, the people around us. And I think that's one of those fundamental things that we've had, and we've had that for a very, very long time. So when you're taking that away, and they're taking that away effectively for anyone that would face a sentence of 3 years or less. So that's effectively in a way saying that if 3 years of your life is less valuable than 4 years. So in a way, I would say. So I think, and always with this government, is why are they doing it? Show us the facts and the figures. And that's something that they can't seem to do, because the information is contradictory coming from the Courts Minister and coming from the Justice Secretary. Whether it will get through, we'll see. But there's lots of U-turns, as we already know, and I hope this certainly would be one of the U-turns, because I think it is a grave thing to do. Absolutely, we need to reduce. We shouldn't be waiting 5 years for a court case in the criminal. That's absolutely unacceptable, and it does damage the quality of trials, because if you're 5 years until you're giving evidence, that's a long time to remember something. But is this the way to do it? I don't think so.
I mean, it would seem more sensible in a way, and I know it wouldn't necessarily apply to jury trials, but with the rest of the system, which are running courts for a lot longer than they're currently running.
Well, absolutely. That's one of the ways. And I'll tell you something else that's very unacceptable. You have judges at the moment sitting part-time in our courts and part-time in courts in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, and not now, but used to be in Hong Kong. So why are we having our English judges sitting part-time in our courts and obviously part-time in foreign courts getting lots of money? Let's stop that. Let's bring them back here, make them sit full-time. Invest in our court system, which the current administration is obviously saying is under total collapse. And I agree with that. But we need to invest in our court system, invest in our judges, how we're selecting them, the quality of them, bring the trials down rather than cutting jury trials. I don't think that's the idea.
OK, thanks very much indeed. We'll leave it there for the moment, see how things go.
Yeah, but I mean, what a disaster it would be, actually, for David Lammy if ministers start quitting and all the rest of it. I mean, he's in a position at the moment where he can't take a lot of criticism, I should think. And mind you, Keir Starmer can't get rid of him, can he?
No.
Can't lose 2 deputy PMs.
No. But it's such a big move to make. Why can't they just speed up the jury trial system?
Yes.
Because the next thing they'll think of is it is now, isn't it? It's advantageous to the speed of the system if you persuade a defendant to plead guilty. And you don't want that going on. I mean, everybody has rights when they are ultimately faced if they're a defendant in a trial. And you don't want their rights violated by being persuaded in the wrong way.
No.
That would speed things up, but it wouldn't be justice.
It wouldn't be the right thing to do it, no. I'll keep your thoughts coming through on that. Meanwhile, let's cheer you up with the prospect of 85 grand in your bank account, should we? Completely tax-free. There's just under 2 weeks left to enter this competition. Here's how you take part.
There's only 2 weeks left to ensure you're in the draw to win our biggest cash prize so far. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane from Manchester. I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. It is real and it does happen to everyday people like myself. And that one text has just made my life 100% better.
But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple of moments talking to Michael Portillo.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Now, Tate Britain is marking the 250th anniversary of Turner and Constable, the two artists, with a very special exhibition celebrating two absolute giants of British art.
Well, earlier this week, we sent Michael Portillo to the gallery to explore how these great rivals shaped their own uniquely original artistic visions.
Two Englishmen, brilliant landscape painters, John Constable and J.M.W. Turner, were both born at about the same time 250 years ago. They were rivals, although they developed very different styles and painted very different subjects. We think of Constable repeatedly depicting his native Suffolk with great realism, while Turner toured Europe, producing pictures with this wild light that pointed to painting of the future. Here at Tate Britain, we can contrast the artistic journeys that they made.
Oh, I love the history of art almost as much as the art, and that's what makes it fascinating. Michael joins us now.
What a lovely thought, yes.
It is. It's knowing the characters behind why they painted what they painted. I didn't actually know they were rivals.
Well, they were, and I suppose we don't think of them as rivals because we think of their paintings as being so different, although in this exhibition we focus on the landscape painting of both of them. So they're born at the same time, very different backgrounds indeed. J.M.W. Turner was born in London. He's a metropolitan child. His family is kind of working class. They're in trade. But interestingly, his father is immensely supportive of his efforts, and he's a child prodigy, and he's exhibiting at the Royal Academy basically as an adolescent, as a teenager. Gosh. Constable was from a sort of landed family. They're quite well to do. They're out in Suffolk, of course. Father disapproves immensely of his being a painter because that's so improdig. It's not what they expect from their son. So he comes on very slowly in comparative terms. I think he only exhibits at the Royal Academy in his 30s.
And Constable then, is painting these very realistic landscapes, but he scarcely moves his easel. He's in the same spot day after day after, painting the same thing.
The same thing, yeah.
Constable, J.M.W. Turner zooms off around Europe and starts painting all sorts of fantastic things, allegories and ancient history and myths. And then he gets very much into these, yellow, hazy sunsets and this extraordinary light. Yellow is clearly Turner's favourite colour. And what this exhibition shows is that nonetheless they were both radical. Constable was pretty radical because, for example, he was literally out there doing his sketches with his easel at the place where you see him. So he wasn't just inventing it. Of course, no photography in those days. He wasn't just carrying it back in his mind. He was sketching it at the time and trying to catch those clouds and that
Cameos
light.
And things.
And, his work on clouds is, in a way, as remarkable as Turner's work on light. And they do begin to influence each other, not least in the most basic thing of size. Turner realises that if you're going to be in the Royal Academy exhibition each year, the bigger the picture you paint and the brighter the picture you paint, the more wall space you're going to take up, the more you're going to elbow the other artists to the side, the more impact you're going to make. So he does that, and Constable thinks, wow, that's a good idea. So we know Constable for these 6-footers, as we call them, these immense canvases. Well, he basically catches this idea from Turner. So the exhibition is a fascinating contrast of their careers, which proceed along sort of parallel tracks.
We're out of time, but you'll be back anyway.
I will.
Where's it on and when?
It's on at the Tate Britain in London, and it's on for quite a long time, till about May, I think.
All right.
Yeah,
and my report is later.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Later on.
We'll see you later. Thank you,
Of course,
Michael.
Michael comes up after Camilla, who is now.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Quite a grey and murky start to the day, some fog rather slow to clear in places, and quite a cloudy Sunday on offer. Some spells of rain, though we are likely to see a little bit of brightness later. Spells of rain across southwest England, southern parts of Wales. This will slowly shift its way northwards, pushing into central and northern parts of England through today. Perhaps a little bit brighter across the far north of Scotland, Northern Ireland, also parts of Sussex and Kent and East Anglia. Maybe even some sunshine